Chapter 719. Li Xiqing smiled, held the little guy, and walked in the direction of the children's room. Su Qianxi tidied up her clothes and then saw the little guy's appearance. She couldn't help but laugh. Watching the father and son leave, her face became hotter. The surprise she had prepared for him was still coming. She almost thought that she couldn't take it out, but it was interrupted by the little guy. Was this a blessing in disguise? Su Qianxi's face became redder and redder. When Li Xiqing carried Li Jianhua to the children's room, he saw a big tall building block tower as soon as he entered. These blocks were all solid wood blocks he bought for Li Jianxian. Many adults also liked to play this game. As soon as Li Xiqing walked in, he was a little surprised. The blocks inside were piled high, and they were actually as high as Li Jianxian's height. The inside was hollow, and there were hollowed gaps on the outside. The whole was a circular tower. Even so, the bottom 3 or 4 layers were very tight and airtight. When it got higher and higher, the distance between the blocks slowly opened up. Each block was only about 2.5 centimeters wide, and it was placed horizontally. There were at least hundreds of them stacked on top of each other. Both Li Jianxian and Li Mosen looked a little excited. They put the last block on the top, and the whole tower shook slightly. But it was only a slight shake, and in a moment, it returned to normal. It looked very tall, but it was very stable. It was placed on the edge of the small bed, just beside Li Jianhua's bed. Wow! Li Jianhua seemed to have forgotten why she called her father over. She looked at the tall tower with her eyes wide open, and her little face was full of worship. Amazing! It's so high. As she spoke, she struggled to get down. Li Xiqing put the little guy down, but Li Jianxian and Li Mosen immediately felt a sense of crisis and shouted at the same time, "Don't come over." Li Jianhua was frightened by them and looked at them with a blank face. Li Jianxian and Li Mosen were carefully guarding the building block tower, for fear that Li Jianhua would come up and destroy it. "Dad." Li Jianhua pouted and looked at Li Xiqing behind her, pretending to cry again. Li Xiqing held Li Jianhua in his arms and sat on the small bed at the side. He asked, "Did you two do this?" Li Mosen looked at Li Xiqing with stars in his eyes and said, "It was all done by Daisu and me." "Isn't it amazing?" Li Jianxian was also looking forward to it. With a blush on his face, he looked at Li Xiqing, waiting for his comment. "Not bad, but the next time you play, remember to teach your sister how to play. At this time, you should all be asleep. All of you, go to bed." When Li Mosen and Li Jianxian heard that, they immediately climbed onto the bed and covered their heads with the blankets. When Li Jianhua saw this, her big eyes stared straight at the toy tower. She wanted to go forward and touch it. Li Jianxian noticed his sister's gaze and warned, "Don't move, or you'll fall." "Humph. Cheapskate." Li Jianhua got down from Li Xiqing's body and climbed onto her little bed. Looking at the building blocks, her eyes lit up. Li Xiqing chuckled and said with a straight face, "Remember to take your sister to play next time. You can't play by yourself. Do you hear me?" "Oh." Li Jianxian responded and covered his head with the quilt. Li Xiqing stood up, closed the door and went out. But before the door was closed, he heard a crashing sound coming from inside. Hearing this sound, Li Xiqing immediately felt more helpless. Chapter 720. Sure enough, there was a loud cry from inside. Li Xiqing opened the door again, walked in, and turned on the light. At a glance, he saw the 2 boys, Li Mosen and Li Jianxian, who were about to cry, looking at the small tower in front of them that had collapsed more than half. The small tower, which was originally as tall as them, had already collapsed by more than half, leaving only the bottom layer still standing firmly. "Ah! Li Ersu, you compensate me!" Li Jianxian shouted and almost cried. His eyes were red with anger, and he roared, "You get it back for me. I worked with Mosen all night to finish it." Li Mosen was also a little unhappy, but his mood was obviously calmer. After all, he was just an assistant, and the main force was all Li Jianxian. And the culprit, Li Jianhua, was holding the small quilt with an innocent face. She was stunned by Li Jianxian's roar. When she noticed that her father had come in, she turned her little head to look at Li Xicheng, and she was a little scared. Her little face was a little wronged, and she weakly said, "Dad, you did it?" Li Xicheng's forehead was twisted. Seeing the mess on the ground, he felt a little sorry. The little guy spent a night to finish it, and it must have taken a lot of effort. It was normal for him to be angry when it was knocked down. Li Jianhua bowed her head weakly and whispered, "I just wanted to touch it, but my brother didn't let me play." As she said that, her little face became more and more wrinkled and red, and she cried out of guilt and grievance. Her big eyes narrowed together, and tears rolled down all at once. "Woo-woo. I didn't mean it." Looking at Li Jianxian, he found that the little guy's anger seemed to have subsided a little, but he still looked very unhappy. Li Xicheng had a headache. He held Ursu over, gently wiped her tears, and whispered, "Want to play with your brothers?" Ursu sniffed, and her crying stopped a little. She nodded and said, "Yes. Go apologize to your brother." Li Jianhua heard that, climbed down from Li Xicheng, walked to Li Jianxian's side, and said in a choked voice, "Brother, I'm sorry." Li Jianxian's anger had subsided a lot. When he heard what she said, his face was still stiff. He looked at her and said with some disgust, "Don't cry. You're so ugly." When Li Jianhua heard that, she pouted and pretended to cry again. Li Jianxian's little face became even more disgusted, and he shouted, "If you cry again, I won't play with you anymore." These words scared Li Jianhua so much that she quickly stopped crying. She didn't dare to cry anymore. Li Jianxian was more sensible and smart than many children of his age. He was so thoughtful at such a young age. It seemed that it was good to be raised by his grandfather. Li Mosen and Li Jianxian spent more time with their grandfather, while Li Jianhua often played with Qin Shuhua. The little girl was like a little princess. Although she was smart and sensible, compared to the two boys, she was more delicate. The little guy wanted to play with his brothers. Maybe it would be better, Li Xicheng thought for a moment, clapped his hands at them, and said, "Tomorrow, Dad will make a beautiful one for you. Now, pick up the blocks on the ground first, and we will continue to build them tomorrow." Chapter 721. Li Jianxian did not speak and got out of bed to help. Li Jianrui followed behind and squatted down to help pick it up. She said to Li Mosen, "Brother Mosen, I'm sorry. It's Ursu's fault. I knocked it down." The expression on Li Mosen's face was much better. He smiled at Li Jianrui and reached out to wipe her face. "It doesn't matter. Let's play together tomorrow," he said and turned his head to look at Li Jianxian. "Okay, Daesu." Li Jianxian picked up the building blocks and said coolly without looking up, "Then she has to be obedient. She has to promise not to destroy or cry before she can play with us." Li Jianrui heard this and nodded. "I won't cry. I'll be obedient. Brother is the best." Li Jianxian snorted softly, but his lips were slightly raised. It was very shallow, but it could not hide from Li Xicheng's vicious eyes. Li Xicheng couldn't help but smile. He was a little helpless with this son. When he was a child, he was not so arrogant, was he? TSK, he must have inherited it from his mother. Watching the children pack up the building blocks, Li Xicheng put the box in the corner of the room, then turned off the light and walked out. Finally, he could go back. Hey, it's really not easy to raise a child. It's even more difficult to want to raise a child and have a world of two. Li Xicheng's feeling when he was just hit was completely gone. At this moment, there was only a deep sense of helplessness. Opening the door, the room was dark, and the lights were not turned on. After locking the door and making sure that the children could not open the door by themselves, he reached out to turn on the light. At the same time, a shadow appeared in front of him. It looked like he was creeping closer, and he seemed to be wearing very little. Li Xicheng took his hand back and looked at her with his lips slightly raised. Su Qinzi walked over quietly. When she was about to touch him, the man in front of her suddenly rushed toward her. Su Qianxi exclaimed and then heard his low voice. What are you playing at? As he said that, his big hand touched her body, which was only wearing a chiffon. Wherever he went, Su Qianxi couldn't help but tremble slightly. She whispered, "Can you see clearly at night?" "I can't see it clearly, but I can see and touch it." Li Xiqing pressed her against the wall and squeezed his thigh between her legs. Holding her, his big hand stroked under her waist. There was only a small piece of fabric between them. Li Xiqing's eyes in the dark night seemed to be refracted by the light, which was particularly eye-catching in the dark night. He chuckled softly, and his voice was soft and gentle as he said slowly, "I like it very much." Su Qianxi's face was burning, but it was so dark that she was sure he could not see her expression. Reaching out, she grabbed his large hand and placed it on her chest. She whispered, "I heard that men like to play with excitement." Li Xiqing chuckled, leaned against her neck, and gently rubbed it. Feeling her sensitive shiver, he felt indescribably satisfied. He said softly, "This is not exciting. How about something new?" Su Qianxi blushed even more. She opened her big round eyes in the dark and asked weakly, "What's new?" Chapter 722. Su Qianxi blushed and was hugged by him to take a shower. However, he soon became naughty. He grabbed her hand and felt it all over his body, up and down. Su Qianxi closed her eyes and tried not to look at him. However, her hand was grabbed. She turned to look at him in disbelief, but he lowered his head and kissed her. Gently moving down, his lips against her skin, he whispered, "Mrs. Li, it's my turn. Be good. Today is my birthday." Su Qianxi blushed. "No, last time when we were watching the stars, you said no too. Didn't it work out in the end?" Su Qianxi blushed and tried to push him away, but she could not move at all. Being guided, she slowly squatted down. Ancient cities had always been tourist attractions. Whether it was Phoenix in Hunan, Shangqiu in Hunan, or Pingyao in Shaanxi, the most famous one in China should be Lijiang in Yunnan. At the same time, there were also many hotels and inns in Lijiang. All kinds of very ethnic pendants and streets were across Lijiang. On the day of September 30th, the inns located not far from Lijiang's bar street were all full. However, there was an inn called Elegant Solitude with only a few customers. A young man and a woman wearing glasses and hats walked in. The man was carrying a large backpack on his back, and the woman was carrying a large suitcase. When the wheels of the suitcase rolled, the sound was very loud. Soon, it woke up the lazy boss who was lying on the counter. The young man looked very tall and strong. He was wearing a platinum chain around his neck. It was hard to see what the pattern was, but it looked like a fat sheep that was easy to be slaughtered. The boss glanced at them and asked lazily, "Do you want to stay?" "Yes, but our wallets are in my wife's bag. It was stolen when we came. Can we stay without ID?" The man's voice was a bit hoarse, and it seemed that his throat was not very good. The boss glanced at them lazily and said, "Why are you wearing glasses and hats? Are you celebrities afraid of being seen?" As he said that, he sneered and said, "You can stay here, but you'll have to pay more. Normally, people here charge 380 per night, but you'll have to pay 500. You'll have to pay a night's deposit, and I'll return it to you when you check out. 3 meals will be included. You can eat at the cafeteria or have it delivered to you. How long are you staying? 500 yuan for a shop like this? Are you trying to cheat me?" The woman's temper was obviously a bit bad as she shouted. "You don't have to stay here if you think it's expensive, but you can't stay in other hotels without ID cards. What if you're illegal immigrants or wanted criminals? We also have to bear the risk." Speaking of this, the woman's face changed slightly. Just as she was about to say something, the young man gently pushed her away and said, "We'll stay here for a week. We'll leave after the National Day. How much will we pay you? We don't have much money left. Please give us a discount." "All right, 8 days, a total of 4,000. Give me 3,500 and that's it." Give me 4,000 now and I'll give you 500 later. After paying the money and taking the key, the young man and woman carried their luggage to the guest room on the third floor. Chapter 723. Biyao glanced at his wallet, and his face was not very good. He said, "More than 3,000, it should be enough for a while." "Hey. We've been cheated a lot. What should we do next? Do we really have to stay here for a week?" Rong Anna looked angry. "I'm so angry. 100 is enough for such a shop. This person is clearly cheating us. I'm so angry. Go take a shower first. Later, we'll go to the bar. When this deal is successful, we'll have money, and then we'll go to Myanmar." "How? Sneak?" "Shoo, go take a shower." Biyao gently pushed her. "Check if there are any surveillance cameras. Be careful." But Rong Anna did not leave. The more she thought about it, the sadder she felt. She looked up at him with unspeakable grievances. "Shao, let's turn ourselves in. I don't want to live like this anymore. If we turn ourselves in now, we may be sentenced to a few years less. Anna, do you want us to walk into the trap?" Biyao was obviously a little shocked. Looking at Rong Anna in front of him, he was a little emotional and said, "Do you think we can come back if we hit the muzzle in this situation? How many people have we killed? The list has been found. If we go back at this time, what awaits us can only be the death penalty." His voice was a little loud, and Rong Anna was frightened. She covered his mouth and listened carefully outside. Sure enough, there was a very loud voice. She immediately shouted, "Oh, this scene is too difficult. If I can't recite the lines, will the director scold me?" The people passing by immediately stopped their hands that were about to call the police. They breathed a sigh of relief and muttered to themselves, "It turns out to be an actor. I was scared to death." Inside, Biyao's face darkened and he looked at the door. The soundproofing effect of this small inn was not very good. The environment was comfortable and clean, but the overall style was elegant and beautiful. In fact, there was no equipment worth the price. The reason why they chose this place was precisely because it was dark here. If something really happened, the owner probably would not dare to call the police. Hearing the footsteps outside go away, Biyao and Rong Anna relaxed. Rong Anna looked at Biyao, and there was some pleading in her eyes. "Anyway, don't get excited. Don't beat the grass and scare the snake. Settle down first, find a partner, hand over the goods, get the money, and we'll go." Biyao was a little reluctant. He shook his head and said with an obvious anger on his face, "Yes, after finishing this task, we will go out and lie low for a while. But we will come back sooner or later. Li Xiqing colluded with Tang Menjing to frame us. The Bo group has been destroyed, and my father is in prison. Now we can't even go home. It's all their fault." Seeing the ruthlessness in Biyao's eyes, Rong Anna's eyes were full of pity. She whispered, "Shao, in fact, it is not their fault. We pushed Li Xiqing too hard. If we did not want to kill Su Qianxi again and again, maybe he would not be so cruel to us. If we were friends with him at the beginning, and then pulled him into our camp, maybe, what's the use of saying this now?" Biyao's face was cold. "I have already dealt with Tang Menjing. I asked someone to draw an X on her face. She was burned by fire 4 years ago, and she uses makeup to cover the scar every day. Now she can't even put on makeup. Next, it's Li Xiqing. Dash. Chapter 724. Biyao's face and voice were full of hatred. Rong Anna looked at him and subconsciously put her hand on her abdomen, feeling more and more sad. Why on earth did they have to be reduced to such a state? Really, so tired, Su Qianxi was tormented by someone with the excuse of her annual birthday. She did not fall asleep until late at night. When she was sleeping soundly, she felt restless hands wandering around her body. Frowning, she reached out and slapped it, saying coquettishly, "Stop it. However, Li Xiqing did not stop at all. He lifted her legs and lowered his body. Su Qianxi pouted in a daze. When she opened her eyes, she was already attacked by him. Unprepared, Su Qianxi let out a soft moan from her throat. The king-sized bed swayed gently with his penetration, like a surging wave. Under his repeated force, Su Qianxi once again felt refreshed. When she woke up again, it was already afternoon. Su Qianxi was still in a daze. Seeing that it was already past 1 p.m., she was startled and woke up. Li Xiqing was sleeping next to her. Noticing her big reaction, he reached out and pressed her down, saying, "Aren't you tired? Sleep a little longer. It's already afternoon, and you're still sleeping. If people know, we will be laughed at." Su Qianxi wiped her face and lifted the quilt to get out. However, seeing the marks on her body, she even wanted to kill Li Xiqing. Seeing her expression, Li Xiqing chuckled and said, "What's so funny? It's said that absence makes the heart grow fonder. I haven't been home for more than 4 years, and I've only been back for more than half a month. Can't we have some love?" "Love?" Su Qianxi blushed and kicked him. "It's all because of you. You're so energetic. Why don't we all stay in the room today? Get out." "Okay." Li Xiqing's dark eyes were deeper. With a smile, he turned her over and whispered, "Continue to get out?" Su Qianxi's face was even redder. Staring at him, she complained, "How can you be so energetic? Did you sleep?" "Yes, I woke up when you woke up." Li Xiqing held her, unwilling to let go. Gazing at her deeply, he whispered, "Why don't we move back to the villa we used to live in? It's too inconvenient to live in the old house." The biggest inconvenience was that he couldn't use the balcony, kitchen, living room, and sofa. Thinking about it, his eyes became darker, and he kissed her lips. "Wait a minute, let's tell Grandpa, and then we'll pack up and move back." "But what about the children? We have 3 children, and we all have to work." "What about the children? Do you want the children to stay in the villa? Stay in the old house and let Grandpa teach you. Then we won't go back to the old house. I come back occasionally. It's only half an hour drive anyway. It's not far." He simply lay on top of her and said in a low voice, "We also want our time together. It's not appropriate to always live with the elders." That being said, she still felt that she couldn't let it go. There were too many children. If there was only one, she could bring it along with her in the villa and raise it herself. Chapter 725. "But, I don't think it's a good idea. I have lived here for so long, and you move out as soon as you come back. Isn't it obvious? Wasn't it obvious that they wanted to live a married life?" Although this was the truth, Su Qianxi still felt a bit ashamed when she thought about it. "It was too obvious," Li Xiqing chuckled. "Then, like today, we are still in the room at noon. Do you think it is more appropriate?" Su Qianxi blushed even more and looked away from him. "It's decided." Li Xiqing got up and pulled her up. "Get up, I will give you a bath." "No, I will wash myself." Su Qianxi blushed even more and pushed him away. Li Xiqing ignored her protest and directly pulled her into the bathroom. When they came out, it was already past 2 p.m. As soon as they went out, they heard the phone was ringing. It was Li Jinnan. Li Xiqing glanced at it and ignored it. After slowly finding clothes for Su Qianxi, he picked up the phone. Li Jinnan was already furious. His tone was not very good. He complained, "Second brother, you are too much. You are pushing all the blame on me. I also need to have a private life, okay?" Li Xiqing turned on the speaker and found clothes for himself. Hearing Li Jinnan's words, he lazily responded and said, "Anyway, you have nothing to do. What's wrong with helping me manage the company? It's not like you don't get paid. I will give you 10% of the shares." "No." Li Jinnan was angry. "Why do I need money? I want to do it myself." Li Xiqing felt a bit helpless. "Okay, you manage it for me first. When I am in a good mood, I will help you. I mean, I want to open my own company. Li Jinnan's voice became serious. Brother, I want to open a film and television entertainment company in Kingstown. I have already started preparing. I have poached several agents and stars. I have to hand it over to you. I will leave it alone in the future. So suddenly? Li Xiqing was a little surprised. Li Jinnan felt even more crazy and said patiently, "It's not sudden. Before you came back, I told my sister-in-law. After you came back, I told you. I told you again a few days ago." However, Li Xiqing did not pay any attention to him. Li Xiqing suddenly understood. "Oh, in that case, I'll take your sister-in-law to dinner first. We'll talk about it later." Before Li Jinnan could say anything, the call was hung up. Holding the phone in silence for a long time, Li Jinnan almost smashed it. Li Xiqing was a liar. The office doorbell rang. Li Jinnan calmed down and said, "Please come in." Special Assistant Bai came in from the outside, followed by a person. He said to Li Jinnan, "Vice President, Mira is here." Mira was one of the managers that Li Jinnan had poached with a large sum of money. It was said that every artist that he signed could be made famous. He was known as one of the top managers in the industry. However, Mira had a weird personality. Many people weren't willing to work with him. That was how Li Jinnan had managed to take advantage of the situation. "Come in." Li Jinnan stood up and tidied himself up before looking at the door. Special Assistant Bai was followed by a man who was gorgeously dressed. Chapter 726. When Mira saw Li Jinnan, his eyes lit up and he said in surprise, Aren't you the handsome guy I met at the Dongfang Hotel last time? Oh my god, you are the boss of NC Entertainment? You are so young." His voice was sharp and it sounded like he was surprised. Li Jinnan had already felt that the man looked a little familiar. When he heard the man speak, he immediately remembered where he had come from. Last time in the hotel, he was hugged by a woman and called another man's name. This person seemed to be the woman's friend. A coquettish, gay? Li Jinnan was speechless. He looked at Mira and nodded. "Hello, I am Li Jinnan." "I am Li Jinnan, not Li Jinnan." This was the most positive and confident self-introduction. Hearing this deep, magnetic voice, Mira felt even more excited. He was so surprised that he was bursting with joy. He said, "Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. I'm Mira, one of the top agents of Starshine." "Oh my, you look so young. You're 29 years old, right?" "Oh my god, I thought I was looking at a 24 or 25-year-old fresh meat." Li Jinnan had a faint polite smile on his face. It was not deep, but it was enough to make Mira more dazzled. If you come to the entertainment circle, you will definitely attract a lot of boys and girls. In the most popular saying, you can obviously rely on your face to make a living, but you choose to rely on your talent. Mira did not hide his compliment and handed out his business card. "This is my business card. It's the first time we meet. Please take care of me in the future." Li Jinnan felt that he could not continue the conversation. After a few greetings, he excused himself and let Mira go. Today was September 30th. It was going to be the National Day holiday. Li Jinnan felt tired both mentally and physically. He took a long sigh of relief and called a meeting with the company's top executives. He was busy until the evening before he returned to his villa. The villa was empty, and only Nanny Rong was at home. Nanny Rong put the prepared food on the table. When she saw him coming back, she shouted, "Third master, you are back? The food is hot. Eat first." Li Jinnan looked at Nanny Rong and said softly, "Didn't I tell you to go home early? Why did you come over to help me cook? Go home early. It's getting late." "That won't do. Your mother told me to take good care of you. I'm just cooking a meal. Come, eat it while it's hot." "Thank you, Nanny Rong." Li Jinnan didn't decline. After dinner, Nanny Rong washed the dishes and hung them out to dry before heading home. After Li Jinan took a shower and changed his clothes, he faced the empty villa. His mind subconsciously thought back to the time when he was still in the old mansion. The two babies often cried. Su Qianxi and her mother held one each and comforted them anxiously. Li Jinan watched her gradually wither from a delicate flower in the palm of Li Xicheng, but there was nothing he could do. Perhaps he was trying to escape, or perhaps he couldn't bear it. Li Jinan moved out of the old house. He was afraid that he couldn't help but love the poor little widow on behalf of his dead brother. Fortunately, he came back. This was the best outcome, wasn't it? Ding dong. His phone rang, and a WeChat message popped up, Mira. Chapter 727. Yi Yu. The college girl who was drunk and called him Brother Luo, and in the bathroom last time? In the photo, it was a girl with long hair who looked pure and lovely. Her eyes were open as if they could speak. It turned out that she was an actress. Mira, good actress, good singing, pure and sharp. Graduated from art school, 22 years old, 168 centimeters tall. Li Jinan replied, you decide. Mira, okay, October 1st. On the first day of the National Day holiday, Su Qianxi had promised the children to take them to the Maldives, so she had to get up early in the morning to prepare. Lu Sa had packed the luggage, booked the tickets, and booked the hotel. The flight was at 10 a.m. However, things did not go as she wished. Last night, because of what happened the day before yesterday, Su Qianxi strictly stopped him from doing anything bad. Li Xicheng agreed, but the aftermath was that he pestered her early in the morning and would not let her go. When she woke up and was about to freshen up, he took her in his arms, kissing and hugging her. He was rubbing all over her body, trying to arouse her. However, Su Qianxi was a very principled person. She pushed him away and warned, go away. I have to prepare for the trip to the Maldives later. Let's go later. Li Xicheng hugged her and looked at her pleadingly. His dark and deep eyes flashed with an indecipherable look. Honey, I want to. When Su Qianxi was about to speak, her lips were covered by his. Struggling, she turned her head and yelled, go away. At the same time, she stretched out her leg and kicked. Unfortunately, her knee hit the man's weakest and most important part. Li Xicheng only felt a piercing pain, clutching his crotch and gasping in pain. Su Qianxi was shocked and exclaimed, honey, are you okay? It hurts. Li Xicheng grabbed her hand and sounded very painful. Su Qianxi panicked and yelled, what should I do? It's okay. Just rub it for me. Come on, rub it. Hearing this, Su Qianxi's original nervousness and fear were all gone. Staring at him, she punched his stomach, snorted, and turned away. After successfully getting rid of him, she coaxed the children to the living room and prepared to go straight to the airport. However, Li Xicheng was not happy. His face was sullen early in the morning, as if he was afraid that no one would know he was not satisfied. Su Qianxi saw his face and felt guilty. She pushed him and urged, let's go. Li Xicheng looked pale and did not move. Suddenly, the phone rang. He glanced at it and then ignored her, going to the side to answer it. She wanted to follow him, but when he saw her coming, he immediately moved away, as if he was afraid that she would hear him talking on the phone. When he was talking on the phone, he kept looking at Su Qianxi, fearing that she would hear him. Su Qianxi felt a little suspicious. Watching him hang up the phone, she asked when he walked over, what's wrong? Li Xicheng's expression was not very good. Hearing her words, he said sullenly, there is something urgent overseas. I have to go on a business trip. You can take the children with you. I won't be going. Chapter 728. Li Xicheng heard that and looked sullen. He squinted at her and said, it's about hundreds of millions of dollars. Of course, it's important. Anyway, you have children and don't want me anymore. I'll just go on a business trip. No, you, Mom, let's go. I want to go to the horse's ears. Li Jianyue called Su Qinsi from a distance. After Su Qinsi responded, she pulled Li Siqing. Let's go. The children are waiting for us. This is the first time you have a holiday with the children. Don't let them wait for you. Li Siqing pushed her hand away. You guys go. I won't go. I have to go on a business trip. You are not happy? Su Qinsi looked at him. She heard that when men were not satisfied, their temper was not very good. This guy was also like that? Su Qinsi frowned and said with a blush, wait until we get to the Maldives. No, I'm busy at the company. Help me talk to the children. Li Siqing gently pushed her, and then the phone rang again. Su Qinsi glanced at it and saw it was a strange number. It looked a bit strange at first, but before she could see more, it was blocked by Li Siqing. Li Siqing reached out and pushed Su Qinsi away, saying, it's just because I'm busy with work. Don't think too much. Go have fun with the children. Pay attention to safety. Tell Shuangyu, Cheng, and to be careful. Su Qinsi felt a little uncomfortable and a bit nervous at the same time. Li Siqing had never been like this. Generally speaking, no matter how busy his work was, he would refuse it. It was the first time that he insisted on going on a business trip like today. Are you really angry? Su Qinsi took his hand and said coquettishly, let's wait until we get to the hotel. There's no time now. Let's not mess around, okay? No. Li Siqing looked indifferent and pulled her hand away. Go ahead. I still have to go to the company to get some documents. I will go on a business trip later. You can leave my luggage here. Bye. Then, he really turned around and walked away. Su Qinsi's heart seemed to be blocked, not very comfortable. Li Siqing was angry. He was not like this before. Why? Was it just because she had just rejected him? Was that why he treated her so coldly on purpose? Seeing that he really left without looking back, Su Qinsi felt a bit annoyed. Forget it, if you're angry, then be angry. I'm the one who should be angry. Why didn't he give her a break? So what if he threw a tantrum? Once he calmed down, she wouldn't let him sleep with her. Let's see who was more ruthless. Seeing his back gradually disappearing at the end of the hallway, she stomped her foot and cursed in a low voice, childish. He turned around and angrily ordered the bodyguards to carry the luggage to the nanny van. Luihan fell asleep at 4 a.m. and slept until noon the next day. But before he could have his fill of sleep, he was woken up by the sound of banging outside. Luihan got up impatiently and walked toward the source of the sound. He was surprised to find that it was the kitchen. Luo Zhan was wearing an apron and holding a kitchen knife in his hand. He couldn't bear to look at it and stood aside, watching the big crabs in the pool struggling to escape. Luihan chuckled and asked, "What are you doing?" Luo Zhan heard his voice and looked a bit embarrassed. His voice was a bit weak. "I'm cooking." Chapter 729. Luo Zhan said. "No, I'm learning." Luihan could not bear to look at him and went to look at his ingredients. Fried crab in the shelter? Luo Zhan was shocked. "How did you know?" Luihan squinted at him and snorted. "I am the god of cookery. But you did not choose the right ingredients. Look at this onion, it is not fresh at all. This is my first time buying vegetables. What else do you want?" Gee, a person who does not even know how to buy vegetables wants to cook. Luihan looked at the ingredients. Eggplant with garlic sauce. Fish head tofu soup. Bamboo shoots and bacon. How do you want to make chicken wings? Cola, oh, Luihan washed his hands. Leave it. I'll do it. Luo Zhan stared blankly at him as he walked away. Looking at his back, he asked, "Hey, where are you going?" "Brush my teeth and wash my face." "Oh." Louis Han changed his clothes, brushed his teeth, and washed his face before coming to the kitchen. The big crab that was still alive had been killed by Luo Zhan. Its claws were cut off, but its mouth was still spitting bubbles. It was not dead yet. Louis Han was silent for a moment and could not bear to look at it. He took the kitchen knife from him and said, "Help me. Wash the fish head first. Don't get the red parts. Remember to clean the gills and blood clots, and then go to the water." "Okay." Luo Zhan obeyed. Louis Han carefully went to cook the crab. When he finally finished, he found that Luo Zhan had already cooked it. A strong fragrance floated out. Louis Han turned his head and found that Luo Zhan was looking at him proudly. He put the crab down and walked over. He swallowed the compliment that was on the tip of his tongue. The largest pot in the kitchen could hold 2 kilograms of water. At the moment, the pot was full of fish soup and 2 pieces of tofu. "How is it? Is it very good?" Luo Zhan raised his eyebrows at him. Louis Han was speechless. He slapped him and said fiercely, "Get out. Don't come into my kitchen." Luo Zhan looked confused and did not know what was going on. Watching Louis Han lift the pot and pour out nearly 4/5 of the water, she suddenly realized. Too much water. Louis Han glanced at him in disgust. "Idiot, don't tell anyone that you know me." Luo Zhan silently retreated to the side and had to do something else to pass the time. About 40 minutes later, Louis Han was done cooking. When it was done, Louis Han suddenly came back to his senses and said, "Oh no, I haven't cooked yet." Luo Zhan's eyes lit up when he heard that, and he said with some complacency, "I've already cooked." As he spoke, he went to open the rice pot, but, should I go downstairs and buy some rice?" As soon as Louis Han saw his cowardly look, he knew something was wrong. He went forward to take a look and realized that it wasn't rice at all. It was simply porridge without any soup. It was so rotten that one could not look straight at it. Louis Han was completely defeated by him. With a dark face, he said, "Without me, you won't be able to survive." This sentence inexplicably caused Luo Zhan's heartbeat to suddenly accelerate. This sentence. What? What did he mean? Louis Han did not notice Luo Zhan's strangeness behind him. He picked up the rotten rice and said helplessly, "With some improvement, it can still be eaten as porridge. Go boil some water." When Luo Zhan heard this, his face burned even more. He tried to be casual and responded, "Oh." Chapter 730. Luo Zhan sneered. "You are useless. I am just not good at it. Let's compete in something else. Like cleaning? Or dressing up? Chasing girls?" Louis Han took out the rice from the pot and raised his eyebrows. "It seems that there is nothing you are good at." Luo Zhan was silent for a moment and said, "I can play basketball, badminton, tennis, volleyball, running, I can do all of them. How about swimming, weightlifting, push-ups, and sit-ups?" Luo Zhan was speechless. "Kill." Luo Zhan decided to ignore him. After washing his hands, he went to set the table. When Louis Han finally made the porridge, many of the fried crabs on the table had been eaten by Luo Zhan. Louis Han came up with a helpless face and reached out to grab the crab pincer that Luo Zhan had just picked up. After the meal, Luo Zhan consciously went to wash the dishes. After cleaning up everything, he came out again and found that Louis Han had fallen asleep. At this moment, Louis Han was half leaning on the bed, one foot on the sofa, one hand on the armrest, the other on the back of the chair, his head leaning against the corner of the sofa, eyes closed, breathing evenly. Luo Zhan looked at his face and unconsciously slowed down. Walking forward slowly, Luo Zhan looked at Louis Han's face and subconsciously held his breath. Louis Han was really good-looking. Louis Han's lines were strong and sunny. Whether in terms of ability or appearance, Louis Han was absolutely outstanding. But he fell in love with someone he shouldn't have. Luo Zhan had some sympathy in his heart. He took the blanket next to the sofa and covered him. His body slightly leaned down, and inadvertently, Louis Han's breath blew on his face. It was ticklish and a little provocative. Luo Zhan's heart suddenly jumped, and even he felt caught off guard. However, his body seemed to be unable to move. Luo Zhan looked at the man in front of him, slightly bent down, and gently, slowly approached. Louis Han's eyelashes were thick and slender. At this moment, his eyes were closed, and his long eyelashes were hanging down, casting on his white skin, looking very beautiful. Slowly approaching, Luo Zhan only felt a softness on his lips, and an indescribable strange feeling made all the hair on his body stand up. Suddenly getting up, Luo Zhan took a big step back and looked at him incredulously. Turning around, he immediately turned to the side of the corridor to hide. What was he doing? What are you doing? Luo Zhan, you're crazy. Luo Zhan's heart was beating fast. He quickly returned to the room and closed the door. Then, he leaned against the door and gasped for breath. Crazy, crazy, really crazy. On the sofa, Louis Han's eyelashes fluttered, and then he opened his eyes. Seeing the direction where Luo Zhan was hiding, she subconsciously reached out and touched her lips. Was that Luo Zhan? Louis Han blinked in disbelief. This Luo Zhan, who kept saying that he liked women, as a straight man, actually, secretly kissed him? Luo Zhan actually liked men? Louis Han was alarmed. He suddenly got up, threw the blanket off his body, and walked into his room. They had been living together for more than 3 years, and Luo Zhan had never revealed anything. Unexpectedly, he had actually lived with a homosexual for so long. What should he do now? Louis Han's heart was in turmoil. As smart as he was, he didn't know what to do. Chapter 731. Was he going to drive him away? Louis Han's heart was in a mess. No wonder Luo Zhan was 30 years old and had not had a girlfriend until now. It was no wonder that he often looked at her with a strange gaze. No wonder, Louis Han felt as if he had figured everything out, but at the same time, he also felt a bit of a headache. What the hell was this? A good friend who had lived with him for more than 3 years actually kissed him secretly? This situation could not be regarded as an accident, right? Louis Han patted his head in distress. Finally, he sighed, packed his luggage, and went out the door. Luo Zhan heard the sound of the door being closed, leaned against the door, and there was some indescribable disappointment in his heart. He seemed to be bent. Su Qianxi brought 3 bodyguards, Shuangyu, Cheng, and Da. When she arrived at the Maldives with the children, they were a little sleepy and disinterested. Checking into the hotel, Su Qianxi arranged for the 3 little guys and Shuangyu to stay in a double room, and Cheng and Da to stay in another room. The children were all sleepy, so she let them take a nap and went to her room to call Li Sicheng. There was no answer, and the mechanical female voice reminded her that the phone was turned off. Su Qianxi's little face was wrinkled, and she was in a bad mood. Li Sicheng actually turned off his phone. Had he already boarded the plane? Was he really angry? Su Qianxi suddenly felt a little regretful. If she had known, she would have followed him and asked him to turn down his work or stay with him. Or, if she had not refused him in the morning, she would not be so worried now. After making a few more calls and confirming that his phone was turned off, Su Qianxi simply stopped calling, but her mood was extremely low. The children slept until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Waking them up to change, the bodyguards took the children to play. Su Qianxi was not interested, holding the phone and waiting for Li Sicheng's call. However, she did not get a call from Li Sicheng, but a very unexpected message from a person. Louis Han, where did you go? Su Qianxi, Maldives. Louis Han, I saw Li Sicheng at the airport, but I didn't see you. Are you not together? Seeing this message, Su Qianxi felt even more depressed. She replied, he is going on a business trip, not with me. Louis Han, picture. Su Qianxi clicked on the picture, and Li Sicheng was there, hugging a beautiful woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. Seeing this picture, Su Qianxi's heart was in her throat. Startled, he stood up abruptly. The gloominess and worry in his heart instantly turned into anger. Su Qianxi, what does that mean? What was he doing? Lu Han welcomed the guests from afar. They have already left the airport. She felt even worse. Exiting the page, she dialed Li Xiqing's number. Shut down. What was going on? How could this be? He had lied to her. Why? Su Qianxi's heart felt like it was blocked by a big stone, and she couldn't breathe smoothly. Su Qianxi, what are you doing at the airport? Lu Han, going to Ireland for a business trip for a while. Ireland. He had said that he would prepare a grand wedding for her in Ireland. Chapter 732. Why was this happening? Could it be that Li Xiqing had changed his mind and did not want to give her a wedding? That was also true. After all, she had been out for so many years. No matter how great her passion was, it had been worn out. She should have thought of it long ago. However, wasn't he fine a few days ago? Was it just because of her rejection in the morning that he was angry, so he suddenly became cold to her? It didn't make sense. However, Su Qianxi could not find any suitable explanation to explain his sudden lie and his sudden abnormality. Su Qianxi held the phone, and her heart was indescribably complicated. What was going on? She called Li Xiqing again, but the result was still the same. The children were running around on the beach and playing very happily, but Su Qianxi's heart was indescribably complicated. What was this? He suddenly changed. What did this mean? A gust of wind blew, and Su Qianxi's heart was blown into pieces. Her heart was slightly sour. If he really had a change of heart, what should she do? Su Qianxi sadly found that she did not have a sense of security at all. For 4 years, she had been looking forward to his return every day. Now that he was back, she felt that every day was like a dream. Now, she finally felt that she had woken up from her dream. Mom, come and play. Li Jianxian ran over to Su Qianxi, took her hand, and shouted, Ersu and Mosen are all there. Let's play together. Su Qianxi looked at Li Jianxian's little face, which looked very similar to Li Xiqing's, and smiled gently. She let him pull her and followed him to the beach where Li Jianyue and Mosen were. What she did not know was that a pair of eyes had been staying in the dark, faintly looking over here with ferocious hatred. His eyes swept over Su Qianxi and the 3 children. Li Xiqing was really not there. So, it was time to do it. This time, after controlling Li Xiqing's wife and children, Li Xiqing would not be happy anymore. Su Qianxi noticed that someone was staring at her, but when she looked back, she saw the bustling people on the island. It seemed that no one was specifically staring at her. Was it an illusion? She didn't mind and quickly turned around to play with the children. When the children were tired, Su Qianxi took them to the chairs on the beach and ordered a drink for each of them. While waiting for the drink, she heard the waiter's respectful and fluent English. Miss Tang, your freshly squeezed orange juice. Hearing this voice, Su Qianxi's back stiffened and turned to look. It was a young woman with a slender figure. She wore large sunglasses that obscured her face. She was wearing a bikini and was basking in the sun. Su Qianxi looked at her and found that her facial features were very smooth. Su Qianxi took a few glances and found that his facial features were very smooth and regular. Fortunately, it was not Su. Su Qianxi let out a sigh of relief and laughed at herself. There were many people with the surname Tang in the country. Tang Menjing was now a wanted criminal. How could she come to the Maldives? How could she come to the Maldives? But she still turned around and said, take care of the children. Don't let them stay alone. The 3 bodyguards nodded at the same time. Su Qianxi bowed her head again and said to the children, remember to take care of your sister. Ersu, remember not to run around. Follow Auntie Shuang Yu and Uncle Cheng and okay? Okay. After Su Qianxi said that, she couldn't help but look back at Miss Tang behind her. The woman smiled and raised the juice in her hand at her with a friendly and kind smile. Chapter 733. Su Qianxi also smiled at her to show politeness. Soon, the woman surnamed Tang stood up, and it was because of this that Su Qianxi noticed that this woman's figure was very good. Her long legs were curvy in both the front and back, and she had a typical S-shaped figure. At this moment, she was holding a glass of juice as she strode towards the inside. Su Qianxi was even more sure that it was not Tang Menjing. Tang Menjing was not so naturally beautiful. It should just be the same surname Tang. After the children finished the juice, they ran to the beach again to play. Su Qianxi also sat down on the beach, playing with the sand with them and helping the little guys build the castle. At about 5:00, they returned to the hotel for dinner. It was a buffet. Several little guys were sitting on the chairs, shaking their short legs, waiting for their mother and Shuangyu to bring them food. Cheng and De sat on the side watching the children. Vaguely, they seemed to feel that someone was staring at this side, especially the children. The two bodyguards sat at the next table and secretly became vigilant. A beautiful woman, twisting her waist, walked up to the table where the three children were, and smiled kindly and beautifully. Cheng and De looked at each other, stood up at the same time, and walked over there. The woman apparently did not expect the existence of bodyguards behind her. She sat next to Li Jianyue and asked in Chinese, "Little girl, what's your name?" However, Li Jianyue had become a lot smarter under the education of Li Xicheng. She asked, "Auntie, what's the matter?" "Auntie, there are people sitting there." Li Jianxian also said, "There are empty tables in the back. You can go there and sit." "Well, when our mother comes back, there will be no place to sit." Li Mosen also nodded in agreement. The woman was driven away by several children like this, and there was embarrassment on her face. Finally, when she heard Li Mosen speak fluent Chinese, her face seemed to be surprised. "You children all have the same mother? This little brother seems to be mixed race. Is your mother or father a foreigner?" "Mixed race. Foreigner." Since he was very young, he had been listening to these two words growing up. To Li Mosen, these two words were terrifying poisonous thorns. At this moment, hearing such words, Li Mosen did not want to remain friendly and said unhappily, "Auntie, my mother is coming back. Please go." The woman sneered. Just as she was about to say something, someone placed a hand on her shoulder. A tall, rugged man stood in the back, looking down at her. It looked like it couldn't speak. He lifted her up and dragged her to the side. Ah Cheng wrote a little, but the woman didn't understand sign language. In the end, Li Jianxian translated for her and said, "Uncle Ah Cheng said that we don't allow strangers to strike up a conversation. Please respect yourself." No one could stand being chased away again and again. As more and more people gathered around, the woman's face turned white and then red. Finally, she stomped her feet and turned to leave. When Su Qianxi came back, she happened to see the back of the woman leaving. Wasn't that the one just now? After asking about the situation, she was alarmed. Do not talk to strangers. If a stranger approaches you, remember to shout, call Cheng, De, and Shuangyu. Do you hear me? Chapter 734. However, Li Mosen did not seem to be in a good mood. He kept turning his head to look at the mirror beside him. His blue eyes, brown hair, and skin that was fairer than many people made him look out of place with the people around him. This little brother seems to be mixed race. Is your mother or father a foreigner? This sentence could not be dispelled in his mind. Even when eating, Li Mosen had no interest in it. Even if he called them mom and dad now, he was not their biological child. Su Qianxi saw his strangeness and did not point it out. She dipped the conch meat in the sauce and put it in Mosen's small bowl. She said, "Mosen, eat the conch meat." The children liked to eat seafood very much. They could not eat too much, but it was still okay to eat it occasionally. "Mom, I want it too." Li Jianxian looked at Li Mosen's small bowl and blinked. His saliva was about to flow down. Su Qianxi glanced at him. "Finish the drumstick in your hand first, and then I'll make it for you." During the conversation, Su Qianxi had opened a few more and put them all in Li Mosen's bowl. There was none of the twins. Li Jianrui was unhappy and pouted. "Mom is biased." She looked at Li Mosen and said, "Brother Mosen, I want it." Li Mosen looked at the conch meat in the bowl, especially when he heard Li Jianrui's bias. The loneliness that had just appeared disappeared without a trace. A smile appeared on little Mosen's face. He dug one for Li Jianrui with a spoon and handed it to her. "Ursu, eat it." Li Jianrui was excited and shouted in a sweet voice, "Brother Mosen is the best." Li Jianxian looked envious and jealous, silently gnawing on the drumstick. Li Mosen also dug one for Li Jianxian. "Desu, eat it too." Li Jianxian was happy. He hooked his arm and put it on Mosen's shoulder. "Thank you, Mosen." Su Qianxi's lips curled up. After eating with the children, she took them to the room to play. While the children were playing, she went out of the room and picked up her mobile phone to call Li Xicheng. It took a long while for the call to go through. As soon as she did, Su Qianxi heard some noise. It sounded like they were having a dinner. His fluent English made Su Qianxi dazed and confused. She blurted out, "Aren't you on a business trip? Have you arrived?" But as soon as he asked, he immediately regretted it. What if he said it? She clearly knew that he didn't board the plane. Li Xicheng seemed to be silent for a moment, then said, "No, I met my former sister, so I changed the date. I will go on a business trip tomorrow." "Are the children asleep?" "Not yet. It's only 8:00. "Oh. I forgot about the time difference." "Have you eaten?" "Yes, when are you coming over?" "I'm not going. I'll go home after the business trip. I still have things to do." "That's all for now. Go to bed early." Then he hung up. Su Qianxi felt empty. What was wrong with him? He had been fine in the morning. Was he so angry because of her rejection? How did this happen? He felt that in just a few hours, the distance between them had widened. The sudden coldness caught her off guard. With her mind in a mess, Su Qianxi leaned against the wall, slightly dazed. After Li Xicheng hung up the phone, he picked up the phone. It was Cheng Yu. "Boss, I'm ready." "Wan Lily, Mr. Li, you will make the readers think too much." Chapter 735. Well, how is the hunter's preparation? Everything is ready and ready to start at any time. Cheng Yu was silent for a moment and asked, "Boss, is the Bo family who was with Tang Menjing 4 years ago related to Rong Rui?" Li Xicheng stood at the door of the room, holding the phone and did not speak. After a long time, he said quietly, "I don't know. You can ask Rong Rui." "I know you know. Is Rong Anna Rong Rui's cousin?" "I have always known that Susu is Rong Rui's cousin. This Rong Anna is the girl who used to live in the Rong family instead of Susu, right? Because Susu's parents recognized her, the girl held a grudge, so she kidnapped Susu 4 years ago. They are the so-called drug trafficking gang, right?" Cheng Yu's voice was full of suspicion and fear. She asked one question after another, but she could not get an answer from Li Xicheng. Her heart was cold. Finally, her throat was choked. She sighed and asked the thing she wanted to know the most. "Is Rong Rui also involved in drug trafficking?" "No." Li Xicheng only answered the last question. His deep and mellow voice made Cheng Yu's heart suddenly relaxed. She smiled through her tears. For the first time in her life, she was so scared by herself. Li Xicheng noticed the change in her mood and finally said, "I'm hanging up." Hanging up the phone, Li Xicheng looked at the time, said goodbye to the people in the room, and left. The next day, he took the plane to Ireland at 5:00 in the morning. Cheng Yu had been so busy these 2 days that she didn't even have time to take off her high heels. Sitting on the sofa, she took out her cell phone and made a video call to Rong Rui, who was far away in China. However, it did not go through. She called and found that the phone was turned off. What happened? When she was thinking, the hotel doorbell suddenly rang. She asked in English, "Who is it?" It sounded like a very young man outside. He said with a smile, "Room service." This voice, shocked, Qingyu stood up from the sofa and opened the door. Rong Rui was standing outside the door with his daughter in his arms, looking at her with a smile. "Mrs. Rong, do you need room service?" She looked at him for a long while, then chuckled, stood on tiptoe, and hugged him across her daughter. Rong Rui's eyes softened. He gently patted her back and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong?" Hearing this voice, she almost burst into tears. She forced herself to calm down and asked, "Why are you here?" "Your daughter misses you." Rong Rui held his daughter and let little Pan Pan face Qingyu. She was sticking out her pink tongue and reaching out to Qingyu with her little fist. Rong Rui smiled gently and looked at her with his amber eyes. He said in a low voice, "I missed you too." It was past 11 o'clock in the evening, and Louis Han was still not back. Luo Zhan tossed and turned in bed and couldn't sleep until 2 o'clock in the morning, but there was still no sign of Louis Han coming back. She picked up the phone and dialed his number, but the phone was off. What the hell? Where did this guy go? He had never stayed out so late before. Could it be that he had misunderstood? Louis Han didn't go out. Luo Zhan got up, turned on the light, and went into his room. He looked around and found that everything was neatly placed, but the suitcase on the wardrobe seemed to be gone. Opening the wardrobe, he found that a lot of clothes were missing. "Wan Lily, Mr. Luo, you scared our hen in away." Chapter 736. What did he mean? When did Louis Han leave? He even took his suitcase and clothes, and did not even say anything. Did he go back to his hometown? Business trip? Or did he go on the National Day holiday? Luo Zhan only felt uncomfortable. Could it be that he found out about what happened in the afternoon? So, no way, this was the first time he had committed a crime. How could he be so unlucky? Besides, he did not do it on purpose. He couldn't control himself, and unconsciously, Luo Zhan felt something was wrong and picked up his phone again. After the phone could not get through, he opened WeChat and sent a message to him, "Where have you been?" It took more than 10 hours to travel from China to Ireland, and Ireland was 8 hours slower than China. When Louis Han received this message, he was at the airport in Dublin, at 11:30 p.m. Seeing this message, Louis Han looked at it for a moment and calculated that it should be 6 o'clock in the morning in China. He sent him a location message, then put the phone away and went to find a hotel. Luo Zhan was awakened by the sound of the message. He turned over and looked at the message. After seeing that it was Ireland, his heart sank. Did he need to hide so far away? What a shame. Eyes slightly down, Luo Zhan sent him another message. "What are you going to do? Travel?" No reply. Luo Zhan felt cold in his heart, as if he had been pinched. What to do? Louis Han seemed to have found out what to do next. Just when Luo Zhan was at a loss, the phone suddenly rang. It was Su Qianxi. Picking up the phone, Luo Zhan said absent-mindedly, "Sister-in-law." "Luo Zhan, do you know where Li Xiqing went on a business trip?" "Ah, he went on a business trip?" Luo Zhan really did not know. "He didn't tell you?" Su Qianxi heard Luo Zhan's words and was slightly disappointed. "No, he seems to be angry with me. He has been a bit strange since yesterday morning." "Impossible, he can be angry with anyone, but not you. He probably has something to do on a business trip. Don't think too much." Luo Zhan sat up straight. "Did you take the children to the Maldives?" "Yes." "He didn't go?" "Yes." Luo Zhan also felt a bit strange. With Li Xiqing's temper, how could he be alone when the family went to play? Frowning, Luo Zhan picked up another phone and called Li Xiqing. The phone was turned off. What was going on between Li Xiqing and Louis Han? The two of them hit at the same time. If he's on a business trip, he'll probably be on a plane. I'll ask him later. Don't scare yourself. Second brother is very capable. He'll be fine. After saying that, Luo Zhan realized that he might have missed the point, so he added, it's impossible for second brother to fool around outside. He only has you in his heart, so don't worry. Thank you, Luo Zhan. Hey, don't stand on ceremony. Be careful when you play with the kids. I'm going to take a nap. Bye. Yes. Hanging up the phone, she finally calmed down a bit. Even Luo Zhan said so Li Siqing would not do anything, right? Feeling nervous, she waited for 3 days. During these 3 days, she resisted the urge to call him. She was waiting for him to calm down and call her himself. Chapter 737. This made Su Qianxi very disappointed. In the end, she could not help picking up the phone and dialing. It was 9:00 in the morning in the Maldives. When Li Siqing heard the call, it rang for a long time before he picked up. Li Siqing's voice sounded sleepy, and his voice was low and hoarse like when he just woke up. What's wrong? The first sentence was not, hello, not, honey, not, Mrs. Li, but a distant, what's wrong? Su Qianxi heard these 3 words, and her eyes were inexplicably sore. Her throat seemed to be blocked by something, and it hurt. Li Siqing. Her voice was a bit nasal as she called him. She did not call him husband, nor did she call him Mr. Li, but called him by his full name. She rarely called his name directly, which was a sign that she was angry or in a bad mood. However, Li Siqing just casually said, yeah. Su Qianxi's heart ached. He did not seem to notice, or, he pretended not to notice. Holding back the soreness in her eyes, she calmly asked, what are you doing? Sleeping. Where are you on a business trip? Dublin. Dublin, the capital of Ireland. He had said that he would take her to a grand wedding. But, he went alone, leaving her and the children in the Maldives. Why? Su Qianxi's heart ached, and she wanted to cry. God knew that as long as he gave her an explanation, she could lie to herself to believe him. But now, Su Qianxi did not feel confident at all. What was the difference between her behavior and that of those old women who were patrolling? Both sides were silent, so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. There was a soft knock. Li Siqing's voice was still a little low, with emotions that she could not understand. He said, it is 4:00 in the morning. I am very sleepy. Su Qianxi felt a dull pain in her heart. She did not say anything and hung up the phone. After the phone was hung up, Su Qianxi found that her eyes were full of tears. With a gentle blink, the tears fell. Her mood was terrible. She had been looking forward to the vacation, but because Li Siqing did not come, she had no mood for a vacation. Especially now, that man did not even give her a call or an explanation. Su Qianxi felt even more gloomy. The 3 little guys were playing ball with a group of other children. They ran around happily, especially Li Jianhua. Her laughter could be heard from afar. Looking at the 3 little guys, Su Qianxi calmed down and opened the mom forum that she had been paying attention to for a long time. This was a website created by Louis Han, which had a large number of users. He directly made her the moderator of gossip. Su Qianxi clicked the post and asked, under what circumstances will a man be tired of his wife? After explaining the situation, there was a large number of replies below. Bear's mother, the moderator actually made a post. There were many such situations. For example, a woman became a faded old woman after giving birth. Her figure was not good, her skin was not good, or she got tired of it after a long time. For a man, there was actually no reason. Gao Zhuang Jicheng, if you don't like it, then you don't like it. Men are always looking for something new. They'll get tired of it when they're tired of it. Chapter 738. Tutu, men are all like this. 80% of your husband's heart is like this. If you don't want to give it to me, then so be it. Anyway, it's not like there is no other choice. I'll find a woman who is prettier and sexier than you to piss you off. Then I'll take this opportunity to tell you that he is very attractive and you are not the only one. The replies were like 100,000 critical hits for Su Qianxi. Every sentence stabbed into her heart. That was exactly what she was thinking. However, 4 years ago, he could go to an abandoned warehouse alone for her and narrowly escaped death. If he really did not love her anymore, then wouldn't all their love become a joke? So, it couldn't be. He must be busy. However, such self-deceiving words were shattered into pieces by a message in the afternoon. At 3:00 in the afternoon, the children were tired and taking a nap. Su Qianxi was not in the mood to play at all. Sitting in the room, she was looking at the post she posted today. A WeChat message came in. Louis Han, picture. In the picture, Li Xiqing was sitting in the passenger seat of a car, and a woman was sitting in the driver's seat. She looked to be in her 20s or 30s, blonde hair and blue eyes, wearing a beautiful brown trench coat and delicate makeup on her face. The two seemed to be talking. Li Xiqing's face was soft, just like when he looked at her. Su Qianxi held the phone in the room and enlarged the picture again and again. Every detail and every facial feature was clearly visible. After so many years of acquaintance, this person was Li Xiqing, the Li Xiqing she loved deeply. Looking at this picture for a long while, Su Qianxi immediately felt that her sky was about to collapse. Finally, she couldn't hold it anymore, holding the phone and crying. That woman was the woman at the airport that day. What about the senior sister? Would he have this expression when talking to his senior sister? Even when talking to his parents, Li Xiqing had never had this expression. She used to think that this attitude of his was exclusive to her. She used to think that Li Xiqing would only be gentle to her. As he said, he loved her forever. However, the reality gave her 2 bloody cuts. Why? Was it only because of her rejection a few days ago? Su Qianxi suddenly felt it was ridiculous. Or was it just an excuse? In fact, he had wanted to dump her for a long time, so he deliberately exhausted her and pestered her again and again, preparing for his ultimate move? So ruthless, Li Xiqing's ultimate move had completely defeated her. She could no longer hold on to any hope. She picked up the phone and dialed Li Xiqing's number. It rang a dozen times before he picked up. As soon as she picked up, Su Qianxi heard a giggle. It was a woman's voice. Holding back her tears, she asked in a nasal voice, "What are you doing?" "I'm busy." Li Xiqing's voice was soft, sounding no different from usual. "What's wrong?" After a moment of silence, she asked, Li Xiqing. If you don't want to be with me anymore, remember to tell me. I won't pester you. If you have another woman outside, also remember to tell me. I wouldn't want a man with another woman. However, she could not bring herself to say the last sentence. Chapter 739. Su Qianxi's voice was nasal and sobbing. After a long silence, he said, "Don't think too much. I'm a little busy with work recently. I can't leave Dublin. I'll go back in a few days. Don't think too much. Be good." "Really?" "Yes, really." "Then what are you doing in Ireland?" Su Qianxi sobbed even harder and could not help crying out loud. "What's the matter? Can you just tell me? I'm here thinking about it all by myself. I'm going crazy. I can't stand it anymore." Li Xiqing frowned and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong with you? What happened?" She suddenly did not know what to say. If she told him that it was Louis Han who told her, it would definitely hurt Louis Han. However, his heart felt terrible. She never knew that Li Xiqing was such a person. His acting skills were so good, not only in front of others, but also in front of her. Such a beautiful woman was sitting next to him, and his expression was so gentle. But now he was telling her that he was a little busy with work. Liar. Su Qianxi, he said in a low voice. Don't overthink. I'm really busy. Then why didn't you call me? I was too busy to remember. Su Qianxi suddenly felt like laughing, but she couldn't do it. In the past, no matter how busy he was, he would never forget. In the past, no matter how busy he was, he would never end the conversation first, nor would he hang up the phone first. He had changed. Not wanting to say anything more, she hung up the phone. Li Xiqing called back, and she immediately hung up. She thought that Li Xiqing would call back. However, there was nothing left. His heart was cold and dead. This situation made her feel even worse than when they quarreled. His phone vibrated. It was WeChat. Louis Han, come to Dublin. It's not convenient for me to show up. If you have anything to say, you can say it to him face to face. Louis Han, smile, I'll pick you up when we arrive. I'm tracking down the hotel where he is staying and booked a room for you next to him. Su Qianxi felt even more ridiculous when she saw what he had said. Did Louis Han mean that he wanted her to catch them in the act? Maybe if she lived next to him, she would be able to catch him red-handed in bed? Su Qianxi, Han, I don't want to go. Louis Han, Su Qianxi, the kids are still young. I don't want to fall out with them. Louis Han, tidying herself up, she went to the children's room and rang the doorbell. Shuang Yu opened the door and let her in. The children were all sleeping soundly. When Li Jianxian slept, he looked exactly like Li Xiqing. They were still so young. Their 4th birthday was in 3 days, and her birthday was tomorrow. From now on, I'll celebrate every birthday for you. Today is my birthday, right? Yes. If I want a birthday wish, you will grant it, right? Yes. Then, you'll only celebrate my birthday in the future, okay? At that time, he looked down at her and only said one word, okay. After 4 years of separation, she had thought that he would celebrate her birthday with her this time. However, the reality was often crueler than the ideal. He was not by her side. Looking at the sleeping children, she took a deep breath after a long while. She took a deep breath, turned on her phone, and booked 7 tickets to Dublin. Chapter 740. The sudden decision caught the children and the bodyguards off guard. Su Qianxi asked them to pack up and check out of the room. The group hurried to the airport. Coincidentally, the person who had failed to talk to the children a few days ago saw them clearly from behind. Twisting her sexy waist, she pushed up her sunglasses and asked the receptionist at the front desk, "She checked out?" "So fast?" "Yes." "How long was she supposed to stay?" "It must have been a week, right?" The receptionist smiled and did not speak. With a chuckle, she quickly went upstairs. Su Qianxi soon arrived at the airport. When she boarded the plane and was about to turn it off, she saw a WeChat message. "You Lily, Qianqian, are you there?" Yu Lily rarely looked for her. Su Qianxi was a little surprised and replied, "Yes." Yu Lily also quickly replied, "Well, I am a little short of money now. Can I borrow some money from you?" Su Qianxi, "How much?" Yu Lily, 5,000. Without hesitation, Su Qianxi directly clicked transfer and transferred 5,000 to her. Su Qianxi, "I am going to turn off my phone, on the plane." Yu Lily, "Thank you." Friend has confirmed to receive the money. Getting the money, Yu Lily finally breathed a sigh of relief. She quickly paid the rent, and after seeing the landlord send an okay gesture, she sat down again. After resting for half a month, the bruises on her body had almost healed. However, because she had rested for half a month, Yu Lily did not have a salary. Every day, she spent a lot. She was used to spending money extravagantly and consumed a lot. It couldn't go on like this. She had to find a part-time job. Counting the money she had, Yu Lily only had more than 300 yuan left. She had just paid the rent for a quarter in WeChat, leaving only a few dozen yuan in change. So miserable, she went downstairs to buy a bowl of noodles and paid 10 yuan with WeChat. Yu Lily began to worry about her livelihood. These days, she had to find a part-time job. After searching online, she finally found a part-time job in a flower shop. When she used to live with Oh Ming, she learned flower arranging and cutting when she was bored, and her skills were not bad. 3 meals a day, 150 yuan a day, mainly to help during the National Day. Yu Lily thought about it and called. Soon, the boss informed her of the interview and asked her to go to work the next day. The shop owner was a middle-aged woman with a mild temperament. Throughout the day, she had been wrapping the flowers, helping to move the flowers, and trimming them. Yu Lily was busy from 8 in the morning until the florist closed at 7 in the evening. Only then could she change her clothes and go home. As soon as she got home, Yu Lily collapsed onto the bed. She didn't even want to take a shower. Inadvertently, she tilted her head and saw Oh Ming's photo on the wall. Subconsciously, she thought of the last time they met. Oh Ming's cold and sarcastic smile. Yu Lily let out a long sigh of relief. After taking a shower, she lay down on the bed in exhaustion and fell asleep. The next day, after Yu Lily had gotten used to the intensity of the previous day's work, it was obvious that she had adapted a lot. However, she met an absolutely unexpected person, her immediate boss, Mr. Li. Chapter 741. No. Yu Lily was a little embarrassed and smiled. I'm just doing a part-time job here. That's amazing. Mr. Li looked at Yu Lily's hand and sighed. It must be very hard. Look at your hand, it's rough. It used to be white and tender. Then he reached out to hold Yu Lily's hand, but Yu Lily pulled it back before he could touch it. Yu Lily smiled a little awkwardly. Mr. Li, buy it for your wife? Yes, it's our wedding anniversary. Mr. Li smiled with his eyes squinted. Are your injuries healed? Can you come back to work after the festival? Yes. Yes, my part-time job will last until after the festival, and then I will go back to work. Well, it's a good thing to be diligent. Work hard, and I will tell you about your new position when you come back. Yu Lily nodded and smiled while wrapping the flowers. Finally, she handed the 99 roses to him and said, It's done, Mr. Li. Thank you, thank you. Mr. Li reached out to take it. Intentionally or unintentionally, his palm touched the back of Yu Lily's hands, and the smile on his face deepened. How much? Yu Lily didn't care too much. 600. Mr. Li nodded and took out his wallet with the flowers. After counting, he gave Yu Lily 600 yuan. Then, he counted 300 yuan bills and put them in Yu Lily's hand. The packaging is so good. This is your tip. Mr. Li, Mr. Li's smile deepened, but he quickly became angry. It's just a tip. It's normal for customers to give tips. Are you looking down on me? No, I just think it's too much. She said and was about to put it back. But Mr. Li took the opportunity to hold her hand, pushed it back, and said meaningfully, You are worth the price. Before Yu Lily had time to think, Mr. Li put her hand back and left with the flowers. You are worth the price. Yu Lily felt that this sentence was a little strange, so she looked back at the proprietress. The proprietress also looked at Mr. Li with a strange look and asked, Who is that? My company's boss. Here, Sister Qin, this is the money he gave me. As for the tip, can we split it together? The money is for me, and the tip is for you. Keep it for yourself. It's not easy for a girl like you. But as your big sister, I have to remind you that you have to be careful. He seems to like you very much. Since he has a family, you have to keep a distance from him. Of course, Yu Lily said with a smile. She took the money and whispered, This guy is so old. If I want to find someone, I will find someone tall, rich, and handsome. Sister Qin chuckled, A man doesn't have to be tall, rich, or handsome. He just has to be nice to you. You're so pretty, you can find anyone you want. There's no hurry. Lily's heart warmed and she nodded. Yes. You can come and help me on weekends when you are free. Sister Qin is very busy. It's okay on weekdays, but it's very tiring on holidays. With a beauty here, my business is much better. If you come back next time, I'll give you some tips, okay? Chapter 742. Okay, then it's decided. Sister Qin happily took Lily's hand. Lily, do you have a boyfriend? You are so beautiful and have such a good personality. There must be a lot of people chasing after you. Lily smiled. No. My circle is relatively small, and I don't have a boyfriend. Do you have someone you like? She subconsciously thought of Ming's face in her mind. Lily narrowed her eyes and slowly shook her head. Not at the moment. That's great. My son is a graduate student, about the same age as you. He is about to graduate. When he comes back, I will introduce him to you. Sister Qin's enthusiasm somewhat scared Lily. Lily smiled awkwardly. I am afraid that your son will not like me. Let's talk about it later. Sister Qin saw Lily's embarrassment. The more she looked, the more she liked her. She smiled and did not tease her. Lily finally breathed a sigh of relief and thought far away. I wonder how he is now. At the Dublin airport, Ming had just left the airport and saw a few familiar figures. It was actually Su Qianxi and the children. The temperature in Dublin was a bit low. Today's temperature was 10 degrees Celsius. They all looked a bit thinly dressed. Ming stopped behind and did not dare to go forward. He took a photo with his phone and sent it to Li Xiqing. He typed, "Your wife and children are all here. Did you ask them to come?" Seeing that they led them to the children's clothing store, Ming took his luggage and walked forward, carefully avoiding Su Qianxi's sight. While Su Qianxi was buying equipment for the children and changing clothes, she picked up her phone and was ready to call Li Xiqing. But she quickly changed her mind. After hanging up, she called Luihan. Luihan's voice sounded sleepy, as if he was sleeping. Qian, I have arrived in Dublin. I just left the airport and am in the children's clothing store inside the airport. Luihan was a little surprised, jumped up from the bed and asked, "Didn't you say you would not come? You changed your mind? What, you won't come to pick us up?" Su Qianxi teased. "Help me book a hotel." We agreed to book it next to Li Xiqing. The hotel he's staying in now has no vacancies. Why don't you come to my hotel? How do you know? Didn't you not know I was coming? Su Qianxi felt a little strange, narrowing her eyes and asking. I just sent the client over, and he got the last room, and your room is the VIP suite on the top floor, which is the only one in the entire hotel. Luihan thought about his words and said tentatively, "Where are you now?" "Airport." "All right, I'll be right there." While waiting for Luihan, Su Qianxi took the child to eat at the airport restaurant. After eating, Luihan just arrived at the airport gate. Walking out, she found that Luihan had considerately rented a nanny van. After everyone sat down in the back seat, Luihan quickly arranged for them to stay in his hotel. After she settled the children, she asked Luihan what the name of the hotel Li Xiqing was staying at. Chapter 743. Catching an adulterer in bed, she couldn't believe that Li Xiqing would say something like that. Su Qianxi only felt suffocated, and her eyes were wet. She picked up the phone and dialed Li Xiqing's number. Now it was past 8 a.m. in Dublin. At this time, if Li Xiqing was not with her, he should have already gotten up to work. However, the phone rang a dozen times before it was picked up, and it was a sleepy voice. "What's wrong?" Su Qianxi heard these 3 words and felt more intense than ever. These 3 words were like a heavy hammer, hitting Su Qianxi's heart. Her eyes were stinging, and her tear ducts collapsed. Tears flowed down. Without saying anything, she hung up the phone. Li Xiqing was bewildered. He sat up and found that there were a few unread WeChat messages. He did not have many WeChat friends, less than 30 in total, and they were all family and friends. He opened it and saw it was O Ming. Seeing the pictures and words he sent, Li Xiqing looked at them for a long while and smiled. Su Qianxi bit her lower lip and looked at Luihan. Her red eyes were filled with tears. Do you know what is going on with him? Luihan felt a bit sorry for her. Seeing her like this, he reached out and wanted to wipe her tears. However, his big hand quickly paused in the air. He turned around, took out 2 tissues, and said, "Nothing." Then why did you say that he caught an adulterer in bed? Did you see him with another woman? Su Qianxi's voice was full of grievance. Ihan, he has been very cold to me these days, which is different from before. He used to be very attached to me, and now he doesn't even call me. These days, I'm in the Maldives with the children, and I'm almost going crazy. You know, I don't know what I've done wrong. Is it really like what the internet says, that as long as a man is tired of a woman's body, he will no longer like it? However, Li Xiqing should not be such a person. Li Xiqing, her Li Xiqing, should not be such a person. Luihan was silent for a moment. His eyes were full of unknown meaning, and his expression was a bit complicated. He said, "Not all men are like this. In other words, most men were like this." Disappointed, she sat on the sofa, feeling frustrated. Luihan looked at her and didn't feel good either. He knew her very well. Su Qianxi had been an orphan since she was a child and had always been worried about gains and losses. Li Xiqing was too outstanding, and they had been apart for 4 years. It was normal for her to feel insecure about such a man. But, unfortunately, he could no longer insert a single inch. Luihan knew that. Looking down, he felt even more frustrated than Su Qianxi. Go in and sleep for a while. I'll pay attention to him. I'll call you if anything happens. The children had been on the plane for a long time and were also tired. They had already eaten and slept together. Hearing his words, she nodded and entered the room. However, he didn't sleep. Instead, he stared at the ceiling in a daze. What was she doing? Going to a foreign country to catch him in the act? Su Qianxi's heart seemed to be squeezed by something. An inexplicable thought came to her mind. She had become an old woman that Li Xiqing did not want. Chapter 744. The more she thought about it, the worse she felt. Su Qianxi tossed and turned for a long time before she fell asleep. At night, the sky was full of stars, shining. Su Qianxi opened her eyes, and there was no one around her. She got up from the bed and went to the children's room. There was no one there either. The entire suite was horribly empty. Su Qianxi somehow felt a bit flustered and called, "Honey." Suddenly, there was a coquettish laughter from outside, with obvious pride. Su Qianxi looked in the direction of the sound. A hot woman came in holding the arm of a tall man. The man was tall and straight, with a handsome face and indifferent lines. At this moment, he stood straight, looking at Su Qianxi in front of him. His expression was calm and indifferent. Looking at Su Qianxi, his dark and deep eyes were cold without any warmth. Su Qianxi's heart ached under his piercing gaze. What made it most difficult for her to accept was that the woman holding his arm turned out to be Tang Menjing. Tang Menjing's face was intact, as beautiful as before. At this moment, she was holding Li Xiqing's arm, smiling charmingly. Su Qianxi, do you think you can become a phoenix after marrying Brother Xiqing? After getting married and having children, aren't you just an old woman? Then, on the other side of Li Xiqing, a beautiful, tall woman with blonde hair and blue eyes walked out, also holding Li Xiqing's arm, provoking him in broken Chinese, "Yellow face bitch." Su Qianxi couldn't stand it anymore and rushed forward, but there was nothing. His entire body trembled violently, and then he opened his eyes. It was dark around, and the light in the room was not turned on. Su Qianxi gasped and wiped her forehead, which was already sweaty. She stood up and opened the door, and cold air rushed in. She walked out barefoot, and there was no one in the living room. Walking to the children's room, she found that the children were really gone. Her heart skipped a beat, and she was shocked. Beep! Hearing the sound of the door being opened, Su Qianxi suddenly turned around and saw Luihan walking in. Just behind Luihan, a waiter was waiting, pushing a dining cart with covered dishes on it. Luihan saw her wake up and waved to her. "You're awake? Come and eat." She looked at him and asked, "Where are the children?" "I just asked Shuang Yu to take them to play in the nearby park." Luihan opened the lid of the meal. "Come on, it's getting late. We can leave after dinner." Su Qianxi looked at the steaming food, a bit dazed, nodded, and entered the room. Sweating all over, she felt a bit uncomfortable. She said she was going to take a shower and then went into the bathroom. When he came out of the shower, the food was already a little cold. It was already past 8 o'clock in the evening when they finished eating. Luihan walked in front, and she followed him closely. However, she somehow did not dare to go forward. She paused and asked tentatively, "How about I call him and ask what he is doing? It's still so early, maybe." Chapter 745. Exposing Li Xiqing's True Colors. Inexplicably, Su Qianxi felt that this sentence was really too much. There was a voice roaring in her heart, "You are the one who did not show your true colors." However, no matter how angry she was, she could not say a word. Throwing his hand away, she went straight to the elevator and pressed the button. Luihan saw that she was not in a good mood and did not speak. Entering the elevator, she asked, "Where are Desu and Ursu?" "Playing downstairs. Shuang Yu, Cheng, and Da are watching. It will be fine." "Okay." With them watching the children, Su Qianxi was more assured. It was a black Bentley. This model looked good, but it was not so fast. Following Luihan in the car, she found that Luihan had changed his car. She followed him into the car, fastened her seatbelt, and asked, "Where is the hotel?" Su Qianxi followed Luihan into the car. After fastening her seatbelt, she asked, "Where is the hotel?" But Su Qianxi could not tell exactly what was strange. Luihan's car stopped in front of a magnificent hotel. However, before Su Qianxi unfastened her seatbelt, Luihan suddenly exclaimed, "Do you think that person looks like Li Xiqing?" Su Qianxi looked in the direction he was pointing and saw a tall figure. Short hair, straight posture, and she could not see his face clearly. She could only see his back, with a red bag on his shoulder. Su Qianxi only glanced at him, and before she could see clearly, the man had already entered the car. Before she could figure out if it was Li Xiqing, Luihan started the car again and chased in the direction of the car. The car was very fast and seemed to be in a hurry. Su Qianxi exclaimed. Luihan said, "Sit tight. I'm going to catch up." "Wait, Ihan, that may not be him." "Did you see it? Are you sure it's not him?" Luihan's tone was a bit urgent. "It's too much. He is even carrying a woman's bag. This is intolerable." Luihan's words were powerful, and Su Qianxi's emotions could not help but be affected. Actually, carrying a woman's bag. This was too much. Luihan stepped on the gas and chased after her. Opposite them was a red Porsche, which looked coquettish and handsome. It did not seem like Li Xiqing. Even if he rented a car, with Luihan's style, he would at least rent a black or white one, right? The red one was Luihan's style. Su Qianxi vaguely felt that something was wrong, but the car quickly got on the highway, closely following the red Porsche, rushing straight up. Logically speaking, if the car in front discovered that someone was following them, it should stop to take a look or ask. However, the car in front drove faster and faster as if it was afraid of being caught up. Luihan's firepower was also stronger, so the distance between the two cars was moderate, and they soon got out of the city. Suddenly, a large wave of rose petals scattered from the car in front of them. The pink petals even stuck to the car window. There was an indescribable sense of beauty when they flew over from the front. The further they went, the more remote the surrounding roads became. Not knowing how long the car had been driving, when Su Qianxi was about to throw up, the car in front of her suddenly stopped. The place where the car stopped was in the wilderness. The bright moon was shining, and the surroundings were covered with a layer of faint silver light. A man got out of the car in front of them. It was the tall man carrying a red bag. At this moment, he turned his head and looked the most classic Irish. After getting out of the car, he smiled brightly and gave Louis-Han a big thumbs up. Louis-Han curled his lips and raised his eyebrows, looking at Su Qianxi. Su Qianxi was dazed. Before she spoke, the surroundings suddenly lit up with brilliant silver light. Chapter 746. The dazzling light was so dazzling that she slightly turned her head to avoid the light. Louis-Han opened the roof of the car, and the dazzling light shone through it, like a divine halo in a dream. Su Qianxi suddenly felt a bit dazed and a bit confused. She was not sure what was going on, but she was not sure what was going on. In an instant, it was midnight. A beautiful silver bird flew over his head, bringing with it specks of silver light that drifted down along with the air. The specks of light were like stars in a dream. Seeing this, Louis-Han got out of the car, went to the passenger side, and opened the door for Su Qianxi. He reached out and said, "Qianqian, someone is waiting for you." Or rather, it was waiting for them. He was waiting for Louis-Han to take her there. As a knight. In Louis-Han's deep eyes, there was an indescribable complexity. The deep pain seemed to have settled for thousands of years and could no longer be revealed. Su Qianxi looked at Louis-Han's hand and felt a little dazed. However, she still stretched out her hand and gently put it on his hand. Just at the moment when Su Qianxi got out of the car, there was a cheer around. Su Qianxi was shocked and looked to the side. At the same time, the wind blew and swept everything away. Not far ahead, there was a tornado, rolling all kinds of beautiful and fragrant petals. A fragrant wind swept over and landed on Su Qianxi's body. Flowers danced around her, breathtakingly beautiful and dazzling. Louis-Han led her toward the open space in front of them. Around them, layers of lights were ignited. The silver light increased layer by layer, and in the end, Su Qianxi could not even see the surrounding scenery. The whole world was only left with a vast expanse of silver light. So dazzling, so bright. The rest, there was nothing. Su Qianxi inexplicably felt a little flustered. However, at this time, Louis-Han held her hand and gently raised it, kissing it lightly like a feather. Su Qianxi's heart trembled, and she looked at Louis-Han incredulously. Louis-Han's eyes were soft and watery, but with an indescribable reluctance. He said softly, "My princess, I wish you happiness. My Qianqian, I wish you happiness. My first love, I wish you happiness. I am no longer qualified to stand by your side." A knight was destined to be a knight. The one to protect the princess could only be her prince. Louis-Han smiled gently and let go of her hand. She was surrounded by emptiness, but the only thing she could rely on let go of her hand at this moment. Su Qianxi was shocked and subconsciously grabbed his hand, shouting, "Ihan, what are you doing?" The smile on Louis-Han's face deepened, but his heart felt like it was being torn apart again. "Stand here, don't move." Louis-Han let go of her hand and slowly stepped back, reluctantly looking away. In the end, his figure was hidden in a large area of silver light. She could no longer see him clearly. It was as if he had decided to disappear from her world. The inexplicable feeling made Su Qianxi feel a bit suffocated. Just as Zhang Xian was at a loss for what to do, he suddenly felt something tighten around his waist. A familiar feeling and aura came from behind him. Su Qianxi's body stiffened, and her whole body froze. Chapter 747. The low and deep voice in her ears overlapped with the one from 4 years ago. Back then, he had been beaten to the brink of death in front of her eyes. Just as she was about to break down, he had said the same thing to her. The voice triggered the flood of memories. Su Qianxi's eyes were wet, but her body did not move a bit. It was as if the man who vomited blood and smiled at her appeared in front of her again. Li Xiqing hugged her from behind, his arms getting tighter and closer. Putting his face into her neck, he gently kissed her cheek and whispered, "Mrs. Li, happy birthday." Su Qianxi's body was stiff, and she did not respond. Or rather, she had forgotten how to react. Suddenly, there was a burst of cheers. The silver light that had just shrouded the sky and the earth, from somewhere above, seemed to be gently touched by the center of the enchantment and quickly began to recede. The surroundings returned to the pitch-black and boundless expanse, and light and dreamy music rang out. Colorful butterflies fluttered about on the ground, bringing with them a colorful radiance as they fluttered about in the sky. The butterflies flew high in the sky. Su Qianxi couldn't help but look up and accidentally saw the sky full of stars, densely packed with moonlight. The bright stars were inlaid in the dark night sky. In front of her eyes, the butterflies were flying, and there seemed to be silver light lingering, shocking. Su Qianxi had lived 2 lives and had never seen such a scene. Amazing. The beautiful pictures she had seen in both lives were probably not even 1 in 10,000 of what she had seen in front of her. Touched, was this the true face of Li Xiqing's affair? Unconsciously, Su Qianxi had tears in her eyes. In front of her, it was enough to satisfy any woman's beautiful fantasy. Dreamy, exquisite, and soul-stirring beauty. This was not the special effects in the movies, nor was it the scene in her dream, but the real face of Li Xiqing in front of her. "Mom! Happy birthday!" A young voice came from afar. The voices of the 3 little fellows converged together to form a simple birthday wish. Li Jianhua was wearing a white dreamy princess dress and holding a large gift box in her hand. She was running towards Su Qianxi with her short legs. When the little fellow ran, his hair was blown by the wind around him. His little face was flushed. Holding the big gift box, he shouted as if he was asking for praise, "Mummy, Mummy, this is Daddy's birthday present for you." Su Qianxi's eyes were sore, and she couldn't help crying. But at the same time, she couldn't help but laugh through her tears. "Why are you here?" Li Jianhua tilted her head, looked at Li Xiqing behind Su Qianxi, and said with a smile, "Dad picked us up, saying that today is Mom's birthday, and we have to give Mom a big surprise." Li Xiqing chuckled and loosened his grip slightly. She squatted down, took the gift box from the little guy, and opened it. It was a pair of transparent crystal shoes. Seeing the shoes, Su Qianxi was dazed. When Li Jianhua saw it, she blinked and looked up at her father. Soon, she smiled happily, turned around, and ran back with her short legs. Chapter 748. Li Mosen was wearing a handsome and beautiful white suit, holding a gift box that was larger than his body, which looked a bit funny. Su Qianxi saw the little guy like this, chuckled and opened her arms to welcome his gift. Li Mosen's little face suddenly turned red, and he shouted, "Mom, happy birthday." Su Qianxi rubbed his little head. "Thank you, Mosen. This is a gift from Dad to you." Su Qianxi chuckled and opened the gift box. There was a white dress lying inside. The first thing she saw was the dazzling diamond, as well as the exquisite and neat handmade traces. The beautiful white dress made Su Qianxi couldn't help but hold her breath. Picking up the dress, he discovered that it was an exquisite and beautiful white dress that was so elegant that it could enchant one's heart. Beautiful. This is a wedding dress. Li Mosen's little face was also stunned, but soon, he ran away with a red face. The surroundings were pitch black. Colorful butterflies were still fluttering in the air, and silver light was slowly lingering in the air. In the haze, the bright moonlight shone down, covering the sky full of stars and surprises, but the surrounding darkness was still not covered. Su Qianxi knew that there were many, many people around. There were at least dozens of people exclaiming like that. However, under such light, Su Qianxi did not see anyone except Li Xicheng and a few little guys who ran out to send things. Li Jianxian was the last to appear, unlike the two little guys before him, who ran out wildly. Instead, he stood straight, holding a bright red rose in his hand, and walked slowly toward this side. There was no expression on his little face. His black hair was combed into a handsome style, and his white straight suit looked formal and cute. The little guy walked in front of Su Qianxi, bowed to her like a gentleman, handed out the rose, and said, "Dear mother, please accept my most sincere blessing. I wish you a happy birthday." Su Qianxi couldn't help but chuckle, took the rose, and reached out to rub his little head. Li Jianxian's little face was red, and he took her hand away with some dissatisfaction and said, "Don't touch my hair, it will be messed up." Then he took out a white velvet box from his pocket and said, "Finally, I wish Mom and Dad a long life together." Seeing the long box, Su Qianxi was dazed. When Li Jianxian saw that his mother didn't take it, he looked up at his father. Li Xicheng curled his lips, took the ring box, and gently pushed him. "Go play with your sister." Li Jianxian was a little annoyed by his words, but he didn't say anything. He turned around and walked back. Looking at her son's back, she took a long while to come back to herself and looked at Li Xicheng. Li Xicheng smiled and opened the box in his hand. There was a man's ring with straight lines, and there was a picture of a deer on it. As for the other one, it was a pigeon's egg diamond that was designed into a deer's head. It looked playful yet exquisite. "Have I ever told you that you're like a little deer most of the time?" Li Xicheng's eyes seemed to be embedded in the night lake, which was shimmering and dark. At the same time, there was a reflection of the moon surrounded by stars, so beautiful that it was hard to look away. Chapter 749. Do you like it? Hearing this question, Su Qianxi smiled with red eyes. Do you like it? Who wouldn't like it? Who wouldn't like such a birthday? Instead of replying, she leaped forward and threw herself into his arms. Li Xicheng was caught off guard, but his posture was still as steady as a mountain, not shaking at all. Holding her in his arms with one hand, Li Xicheng bowed his head and looked at her with a smile. Su Qianxi looked up, pouted, and punched him hard in the chest. She closed her eyes, and large drops of tears rolled down her cheeks. She cursed, "You bastard." Li Xicheng did not resist, letting her punch him without making a sound. Su Qianxi punched him a few times, and her tears became more and more intense. Finally, she threw herself into his arms and burst into tears. "I thought you had someone else. I was scared to death." Li Xicheng smiled gently, held her in his arms, and said in a low voice, "You don't have confidence, either. How can someone else be as good as you?" Su Qianxi cried even harder, holding his waist with her hands, crying like a child. She hit his back hard and shouted, "Why did you lie to me? I was scared to death. You even colluded with Yihan to lie to me. You know that I trust Yihan the most. You, bad guy." Li Xicheng hugged her and wiped away her tears with pity, but he could not hide the smile on his lips. He whispered, "Don't cry. You liar." "Well, I am a liar." Li Xicheng wiped the tears from her eyes with his big hand and whispered, "Don't cry, okay? You have to be a bride later. What if you look ugly?" Su Qianxi was so scared that she immediately choked and blinked at him, a little dazed. Li Xicheng looked at her with deep eyes and chuckled. His forehead touched hers, and he bowed his head to kiss her. "Don't cry." Su Qianxi sniffled, feeling wronged. God knew that her mood these days was even worse than when Li Xicheng did not come back. She really thought that he did not want her anymore. She really thought that he cheated on her. Thinking of this, Su Qianxi's throat was choked again, and she sobbed while holding him. Li Xicheng frowned. Seeing that she was about to cry, he hugged her and kissed her lips. Su Qianxi was kissed so suddenly that she stopped crying. He hugged her and deepened the kiss. His hands slowly climbed up her shoulders and took the wedding dress from her hands. His movements were gentle and full of pity. She responded obediently, and the two of them kissed. In the overwhelming silver light and colorful butterflies, it seemed dreamy and distant. The surroundings were filled with cheers, mocking whistles, cheers, and voices of agreement. All of them gathered together. She was shocked and quickly pushed him away. The smile on Li Xiqing's face widened. He gently reached out and waved. Suddenly, the surrounding lights and scenery changed with the two of them as the center. Several women ran towards Su Qianxi, and Su Qianxi recognized them at a glance. One of them was Cheng Yu. And just behind her, wasn't it Sunny who had styled her in the Maldives? The lights around them changed, and the music grew louder. The music playing in the scene was the most classic, I Love You. Imrither Foria There's Nothing More Atose I'm Just the Pithidia Remini Andra Toste I Love You, I'm waiting for you here. No words are needed. I'm very happy that you belong to me. I love you. Dash. Chapter 750. Here, it was a wilderness. If it was natural, then it would be natural grass and trees. Louis Han looked at Su Qianxi being surrounded and left, with envy in his eyes. In the distance, Li Xiqing was wearing a straight white suit and a white bow tie. His tall and straight figure, in such light, looked particularly handsome. This man was too excellent. Not only was she outstanding in appearance, but also in her heart. Louis Han was ashamed of his own inferiority. When Li Xiqing came to him last week and asked him to help plan the wedding, Louis Han refused. He and Louis Han were rivals in love. Why would Louis Han help his rival? But later, seeing more and more smiles on Qianqian's face and the children's happiness. Their family of 5 was so happy that it made people envious. Several times in his sleep, he dreamed of Su Qianxi's reproachful expression. She asked, "Why don't you want to surprise me? Why don't you want to give me happiness? Don't you like me? Don't you love me? Why are you so selfish if you love me?" Louis Han also asked himself. Why are you so selfish? If you love someone, you should hope that the other party is happy from the bottom of your heart, right? After discovering that Luo Zhan was very likely to like him, Louis Han thought of running away. Maybe it was a coincidence, maybe it was an excuse. Louis Han accidentally saw the word Ireland at the airport. Since he had nowhere to go, he might as well give her a surprise. Give her one last surprise with his participation. In the past few days, Louis Han had witnessed Li Xiqing working from morning to night, sleeping less than 5 hours a day. From the design of the wedding dress to the design of the venue, Li Xiqing did many things by himself, not allowing any small mistakes. When he saw the venue, Louis Han was only shocked. After asking, he learned that Li Xiqing had been planning it since 5 years ago. After 4 years of absence, Li Xiqing had made it more perfect and detailed, making everything more dreamy. What a surprise! Louis Han was ashamed of his efforts. Seeming to have noticed Louis Han's gaze, the tall white figure slightly leaned over. Li Xiqing turned his head and looked in the direction of Louis Han, seeming to be in a very good mood. Because of the exhaustion of staying up all night for several days, there were not many traces of fatigue on his face. He was as indifferent as ever, but this time, his face looked softer than usual. Li Xiqing walked toward Louis Han. At the same time, O Ming also walked toward Li Xiqing. When the 3 of them gathered, Louis Han suddenly felt a little awkward. If he remembered correctly, their relationship seemed to be a little complicated. He liked Su Qianxi, and she liked him. But, Yu Lily liked him, and he took care of her. O Ming met up with Li Xiqing and walked toward Louis Han at the same time. Li Xiqing threw it to Louis Han. It was a firework. Putting the fireworks on his chest, Louis Han took the cigarette that O Ming handed over. Li Xiqing looked at him meaningfully. Thank you. I didn't help you. I just wanted to give Qianqian a surprise. Louis Han took the cigarette, lit it, and slowly took a puff. You got lucky. Dash. Chapter 751. Li Xiqing heard that and chuckled. O Ming also lit a cigarette, glanced at Louis Han, and asked, "How long have you known Yu Lily?" Louis Han did not expect O Ming to suddenly speak. After a pause, he looked calm, exhaled the smoke, thought for a moment, and said, "About 9 years, or 10 years. It's not a short time, but we didn't communicate much. In high school, she and Qianqian had to work to earn tuition fees, but I was deskmate with Qianqian at that time, so our relationship was better. As for my relationship with Yu Lily, it was more ordinary. It was just a little better than ordinary classmates." Su Qianxi had been working in convenience stores or shopping malls, while Yu Lily went directly to bars or KTV to sell cigarettes and alcohol. This way of making money was certainly faster. He also believed that Yu Lily would protect herself well, but later he learned that Yu Lily was a mistress of a rich man, and finally, the last trace of good impression Louis Han had for Yu Lily was gone. Men liked good girls, and Louis Han was no exception. In contrast, Su Qianxi was more gentle and well-behaved. Therefore, for a person like Yu Lily, Louis Han had avoided her as much as possible in the past few years. After all, it was not a secret that she liked him. Hearing Louis Han's explanation, O Ming lit a cigarette, raised his eyebrows, and asked, "How long have you known Su Qianxi?" 13 years and 5 months. Almost without hesitation, Louis Han blurted out. However, as soon as he said it, he received a dangerous look from Li Xiqing. Louis Han did not even expect that he would remember it so clearly. Obviously, he did not deliberately remember it, but this time seemed to be branded in his heart, and he naturally remembered it. Laughing, Louis Han's lips were full of self-mockery. "More than 10 years, still a step behind you." Reaching out and putting his hand on Li Xiqing's shoulder, Louis Han let out a breath. "Treat her well. If you are not good to her, I will find you at any time." Li Xiqing indifferently slapped his hand away, with a cold look in his eyes, and slowly said, "Rest assured, you will not have this chance." "I hope so." The corners of O Ming's lips curled up into a devilish smile. This smile contained ridicule and mockery, but it was mostly filled with an indescribable helplessness. Yu Lily, what should I say?" He thought that the person she was waiting for, the person she wanted, at least cared about her. However, seeing Louis Han's attitude toward Su Qianxi and Yu Lily, O Ming couldn't help but feel sad for Yu Lily. Thinking of that woman, O Ming's dark brown eyes were full of sympathy and helplessness. Su Qianxi was led by Cheng Yu and Sunny to a place and found that it was not the wilderness. Going down, it turned out to be a magnificent hotel. The place she was at just now was clearly the top floor of this hotel. Su Qianxi was shocked by the terrain. It turned out that the scene just now was an illusion deliberately made by Li Xiqing. This was actually a resort, and the area was a bit remote. After being taken into the hotel, Su Qianxi entered a suite. There were many people in the suite. Chapter 752. Song Yifan and Rong Xian, they met. Su Qianxi seemed to have seen something terrible and exclaimed, "Dad, you." As soon as she said that, Song Yifan and Rong Haiyue looked over at the same time. For a moment, there was only one word floating in the air, awkward. Rong Xian stood in the middle of them, looking a bit embarrassed. She coughed and said, "Su Qianxi, go in first." Then, Rong Xian walked toward Su Qianxi and pushed her into the room. Several women entered the room together. Su Qianxi was a bit worried. Will it be okay to leave them outside? Rong Xian was also uncertain. Pursing her lips, she said after a long while, "Your dad knows what to do." Su Qianxi frowned and asked, "Which dad?" Rong Xian was silent for a moment before she said, "Both dads." A long time ago, Rong Haiyue knew Song Yifan, but Song Yifan did not know him. This was the first time that Rong Haiyue had looked at Song Yifan face to face. It was very sudden but expected. On such an important day, Su Qianxi's parents could not be absent. Since they were Su Qianxi's parents, of course, Rong Xian, Rong Haiyue, and Song Yifan would be there. Xing Shiming looked at them, coughed, and said, "You must be Major General Rong. I've heard a lot about you. Nice to meet you." Rong Haiyue just nodded slightly, looked at Song Yifan, and said, "You must be Mr. Song Yifan. Speaking of which, I am one of your listeners. You play the piano very well." "Thank you." Song Yifan smiled like a gentleman. When he was about to say something, the little girl suddenly shouted, "Grandpa, hug." Song Yifan and Rong Haiyue looked down at the same time. Li Jianhua was not far from them, reaching out to Rong Haiyue. The smile on Rong Haiyue's face widened. He squatted down and picked up Li Jianhua, saying, "Where is your brother?" "My brother is inside." Xing Shiming felt even more embarrassed. He thought that the grandpa the little girl called was Song Yifan. Song Yifan also felt a bit embarrassed and said, "I'm going out to see if there's anything I can do to help." "See you." Rong Haiyue just nodded and watched them leave. His eyes were obscure. The child chose him, but what about Rong Xian's choice? Who could it be? The outdoor wedding at night was held under the starry sky. The MC was a famous local priest in Ireland. At this moment, he stood solemnly and divinely in the most eye-catching spot. His sonorous voice rang out, bringing bursts of excitement to the scene. "Let's welcome the bride." Nervousness, apprehension, excitement. After taking several deep breaths, she took Rong Haiyue's hand and walked out. The wedding. How many weddings could there be in a lifetime? For the first time, she held her so-called uncle's hand and walked into the wedding hall. At that time, he was cold and aloof. Even when he took her hand, his expression was stiff and indifferent. There was not the slightest bit of emotion. But now, she was holding her biological father's hand and walking to her beloved husband's side. Behind them, her son and daughter followed. The guests around her whistled and cheered from time to time. Su Qianxi glanced around and found many acquaintances. Chapter 753. Many familiar faces were looking in his direction. Knowing that with the veil and the light at night, they might not be able to see her clearly, Su Qianxi still couldn't help feeling nervous. Blushing slightly, she lowered her head and was led to the front by Rong Haiyue. This was the first and last time for Rong Haiyue to send his daughter off. He thought that it would be Rong Anna, who he had raised for more than 20 years. But now, it was his own daughter who had been away for more than 20 years. Life was full of emotions for Rong Haiyue. Looking at the excellent son-in-law in front of him, whether it was appearance or ability, Rong Haiyue could not find any fault. If there was anything he regretted, it was that in the past 4 years, when his daughter needed a husband the most, he was not with her. Fortunately, all the effort was worth it. The happiness that belonged to them had finally come. Giving his daughter's hand to Li Xicheng, Rong Haiyue's heart turned into the most emotional hug. Patting Li Xicheng's back, Rong Haiyue suddenly felt a little like crying. He choked and said, "Take good care of her." Li Xicheng gently patted his back and said firmly, "As long as I am alive, I will not let her suffer. Even if I have to wait for 100 years, I will not let her down." A few simple words, but powerful. Su Qianxi heard this and was quite moved. She looked up at him. Li Xicheng seemed to notice her gaze and also looked over. In an instant, their eyes met. They looked at each other, leaving a different kind of affection that could only be understood by each other. The wedding march was getting higher and higher. Led by Song Yifan, the beautiful music flowed into everyone's ears and into everyone's heart. Time passed slowly, and all that was left was beauty. The priest's voice was solemn and sacred, and Su Qianxi's mind went blank. She was nervous, but at the same time, happy. Not knowing how long the priest had been talking, Su Qianxi suddenly heard the priest calling her name. "Miss Su Qianxi, do you want this man to be your husband and marry him? In sickness and in health, or for any other reason, to love him, to care for him, to honor him, to accept him, to be faithful to him till the end of time? Hearing this question, Su Qianxi chuckled. He had been her husband for a long time. Whether it was his previous life or this life, he could not escape. Whether it was her previous life or this life, she loved him deeply. I'm willing. Su Qianxi couldn't help blushing. Mr. Li Xicheng, are you willing to marry this woman to be your wife? In sickness and in health, or for any other reason, to love her, to care for her, to honor her, to accept her, to be faithful to her till the end of time? Li Xicheng looked at her and said word by word, I do. The pastor then looked at the audience, stretched out his hands, and asked solemnly, Are you all willing to testify for their marriage vows? Cheers erupted from below. The voices of men and women mixed together to form a loud and clear tide. Yes. Chapter 754. Su Qianxi spread out the ring box in her hand, opened the box, took out the ring, and put it on Li Xicheng's ring finger. Li Xicheng did the same. Now, I officially announce that you are husband and wife under the witness of love and family. The groom can kiss the bride. Su Qianxi blushed and lowered her head. Li Xicheng lifted her veil, lovingly held her face, and kissed her cheek. At the scene, there was a wave of excitement. Cheers, congratulations, and simple mockery mixed together. Yu Lily felt envious just by hearing it through the phone speaker. What a big deal. Li Xicheng was too concerned about Su Qianxi. What to do? So envious, Yu Lily stayed up late to watch the live broadcast of their wedding. Every picture, every detail, was as exquisite as a century blockbuster. Would Su Qianxi think that she had walked into a Hollywood blockbuster? At 5:30 in the morning, Yu Lily looked at Su Qianxi and Li Xicheng's happy appearance on the phone, envious, envious. In addition to envy, Yu Lily had no other emotions. After the live broadcast, Yu Lily opened the page and scrolled through Weibo. She found that they were all the hot topics. Shocking. The LS Group dog abuse couple returns. Are you ready for dog food? Late night dog food, LS couple wedding in Ireland, scene comparable to Disney blockbuster, everything every woman longs for. She got, waiting for 4 years, everyone says she's stupid, but she doesn't know she's the biggest winner in life. All kinds of titles, short and concise, just thinking about it was enough to know what happened to them. So envious, Yu Lily chuckled, turned off the phone, and put it aside, but she couldn't fall asleep. At 7:00, she got up on time, washed, and spent 5 yuan on breakfast. After eating, she went to the flower shop at 7:50 and opened for business. All the dreams, all the beauty, would only be on Su Qianxi. She was lucky. And Yu Lily. She deserved it. After the ceremony, other things didn't seem to matter. The people who came to Ireland this time were all good friends and brothers of Li Xicheng, and the rest were all related to Su Qianxi. Except for Grandpa and Lu Sa, everyone else in the family was there. The children were following Li Jinnan and Louis Han to get all kinds of red envelopes. Su Qianxi changed into a Chinese-style toast dress. After a round of toasting, she was exhausted. Since they were all acquaintances, Su Qianxi simply went to the hotel. After removing her makeup and taking a shower, she laid on the bed and played with her phone. Seeing so many messages on her phone, she realized that the wedding had been broadcasted live. It should be midnight in Wuxia now. The popularity was higher than any previous one. Su Qianxi went to the list and saw that it was all about her wedding. An inexplicable sense of satisfaction welled up in her heart. Suddenly, she saw a title, waiting for 4 years. Everyone said she was stupid, but didn't know she was the biggest winner in life. It was a long article, describing Su Qianxi's experience in the past few years and waiting. Su Qianxi felt a bit magical after reading it. In the eyes of outsiders, she was actually this great. She clicked forward happily and attached the words, "Facts have proved that all the waiting is worth it, love." Chapter 755. I'm so busy outside, and you ran away after enjoying yourself. You are so heartless. As he spoke, he had taken off his coat and untied the bow tie around his neck. Su Qianxi put her phone aside and sat cross-legged on the bed in a bathrobe. Looking at him, she said with a smile, "Honey." "Yes?" Li Xiqing looked over and took off his clothes. "Honey." "Yes." "Honey." Li Xiqing did not respond this time. While unbuttoning his cufflinks, he walked over to the bed and looked at her with a pair of deep eyes. Su Qianxi blushed and suddenly covered her face, falling toward the bed. Li Xiqing felt inexplicable, but he was amused by her unknowingly. Jumping forward, he straddled her and whispered, "What are you laughing at?" Su Qianxi took her hand away, blushing and asked, "Am I beautiful?" Hearing this, he felt a little funny and deliberately said, "Not beautiful." Su Qianxi was unhappy. She pouted and kicked him away. "Go away." With a smile in his eyes, Li Xiqing leaned close to her and said in a low voice, "You can make me crazy even if you are not beautiful. If you are a little more beautiful, wouldn't I be in heaven?" Then he leaned over and wanted to kiss her. Su Qianxi's heart was overflowing with honey. However, when he was about to kiss her, she tilted her head and pushed him away, saying, "You smell like alcohol. Go take a shower. Give me a kiss before you go." With that said, he reached out to grab her face. Su Qianxi dodged again and reached out to cover his face. "I won't kiss you if you don't take a shower." "Okay." Li Xiqing was a little reluctant, but he still got up and said, "Okay." Seeing him slowly getting up, Su Qianxi let go of his hand. But unexpectedly, he suddenly pressed down again and kissed her on the face before he got up with satisfaction. Su Qianxi wiped her face with disgust and turned over on the bed with a grunt. But her heart couldn't help but quietly tremble. Suddenly, her phone rang. She took it and saw it was Luo Zhan. Where is Louis Han?" "Su Qianxi, I don't know. Maybe in the room." 709, go check it out. Okay." Following the room number, Luo Zhan felt inexplicably nervous. His heartbeat was like thunder, rumbling non-stop. What should he do? He didn't dare to go. But someone had to make things clear first. He was the one who caused the trouble, so he had to solve it, right? At 7:09, Luo Zhan rang the doorbell and deliberately covered the peephole. Sure enough, the person inside couldn't see outside, so he asked, "Who's there?" It was really Louis Han's voice. They hadn't seen each other for a few days, and Luo Zhan actually missed her. "It's me." After a short silence, Louis Han opened the door. He looked like he had just taken a shower and was drunk. His hair was half wet and a little messy. Louis Han was wearing a bathrobe. After opening the door, he turned around and lay on the bed without a second thought. Luo Zhan naturally walked in and closed the door. "Louis Han." "Yes." "Louis Han." "What?" Louis Han's voice sounded a little impatient, and he took a pillow to cover his face. Luo Zhan was a little hesitant. He walked over and sat on his bed, saying, "When are you going back to China?" You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.